At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Navigating through this spiritual journey is challenging. Healers need healers, trainers need trainers, and leaders need leaders too. If you're looking for a space that offers Reiki healing, emotional mastery, chakra healing, and even one-on-one spiritual consultation, visit us at todayswellness.com. Get all your spiritual needs met and just have someone you can actually talk to. Because whatever it is that you are seeking is also within you.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. Thank you so much for joining. We are live again in search of a Huru. Do me a favor as you guys come into the chat room, as you guys come on in to the chat room, to your home for the next couple of hours, please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. Share with your mama, your cousins, your sisters, your aunties. Share with everybody. Okay, before we get started, we have a couple of announcements. Announcement number one, we are rolling to Nigeria on Sunday. We are rolling to Nigeria on Sunday, August 4th to the 13th. Listen, if you're a last minute person, you're like, listen, I got to get away. I have to get away. I got to get away. If you're a last minute person, you're like, look, I got to get away. Go to donfo.africa. Again, go to visit donfo.africa to learn more. Again, please visit donfo.africa to learn more. We will love to have you. Again, we will love to have you all. I got a spot for you. If you want to come, I got a spot for you. You know, I got a spot for you. If you want to come, please visit Donfo, DANFO.Africa. Again, Donfo, DANFO.Africa to learn more. We're also going to the Voodoo Festival, January 3rd through the 12th. January 3rd through the 12th, we're going to the Voodoo Festival. We're also rolling to Zanzibar in September 22nd to October 1st. I could probably squeeze you in if you're serious about coming. And then we're going back to Sierra Leone in April 20th to the 29th. April 20th to the 29th, we're going to Sierra Leone. Then in June 1st to the 10th, we're going to Senegal. And then again in August 3rd to 12th, we're going back to Nigeria. Again, we're going back to Nigeria. So please visit Donfo, DANFO.Africa. And while you're there, click that documentary link. While you are there, click that documentary link and buy the documentary. Show the documentary some love. It's the #1 documentary in the world. That documentary right there, In Search of a Huru. Check it out. We'd love to have you. We'd love for you to watch the documentary. Watch it with your family members. All that good stuff. Let's jump into today's topic. Again, let's jump into today's topic. Today's topic, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. Who marginalized Black women the most? And I want Black women to participate. I want my sisters who are watching this, please call in and tap in and, you know, add your come and participate in the conversation when I put that link in the chat room, which will be in around, we'll say 30 minutes. And to start off this conversation, I want to start with Barack Obama. Shout out to Afro Heaven 7 and Mr. Prince Dynasty, sir. Blessings to you and your family. I hope all is well. Please, how do I send you a video on Miss Harris if you like? Thank you. Send me an email. Search for ahuru@gmail.com. Search for ahuru@gmail.com. I'll put the link in the chat room. Search for ahuru@gmail.com. I'll put the link in the chat room. But again, I want to start off with Obama. Okay. I want to start off with Obama, and I need to start off with Obama because this conversation is important. And it has, and why I want to start off with Obama, especially for the Pan-Africans, the pro-blacks, the why you voting for Trump because he's a white supremacist, but you don't have that same smoke for the Democrats. Like, you get enraged. The TDS just comes out of you. But for some reason, you don't have that same energy for the other side. But I want to start with Barack Obama. And when we speak on Barack Obama, we need to talk about Assata Shakur. Now, when you talk to our Pan-African brothers or pro-black brothers, Assata Shakur, who they consider a revolutionary, was the first woman who was put on the FBI most wanted list. Barack Obama did that. The Democrats did that. Again, Assata Shakur. Oh, let's pull this up. Who again, black folks consider a revolutionary. Well, when I say black folks, the conscious community. There we go. The conscious community. She was put on the FBI's most wanted, the first black woman ever put on the FBI's most wanted terror list by Barack Obama. And when these folks come on here and defend Barack Obama, what he did in Libya to Africans, what he did to Assata Shakur, it's just crazy. But when it comes to Donald Trump, the best thing you got is, what he said about the Central Park Five. That's the best thing you have. Like, not the rhetoric, give me the actions. See, Trump talks, he runs his mouth. Democrats take action, which is, look at the actions. Now, I want to find the original press conference. Here we go. We'll play this right here. And put a $2 million bounty on her.
I'm honored to stand here today alongside the New Jersey State Police, the New Jersey Attorney General's Office, and the United States Marshal for the District of New Jersey to announce the addition of Joanne Chesimard to the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. As Colonel Fuentes said, 40 years ago today, Joanne Chesimard and a group of individuals who were terrorizing our country murdered New Jersey State Trooper Warner Forster. Chesimard was part of a militant separatist group which was known as the Black Liberation Army. Their mission was to intimidate the United States government in order to advance their political and social objectives. No person, no matter what his or her political or moral convictions are, is above the law. Joanne Chesimard is a domestic terrorist who murdered a law enforcement officer, execution style.
40 years on the run, New Jersey State Police are reminding the
that you have extending sanctions on Zimbabwe. I mean, I don't understand the love affair with Barack Obama. I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I don't get the obsession with Barack Obama. Here we go.
Tupac Shakur.
Hold on, let me play this. Here we go.
May have presented himself as a hardcore thug, but he had nothing on his own godmother. Joanne Chesimard, yes, the godmother of the rap icon, is now the very first woman ever to land on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. Now 65 years old, she was convicted of gunning down a New Jersey state trooper on this very day in 1973.
As Colonel Fuentes said, 40 years ago today, Joanne Chesimard and a group of individuals who were terrorizing our country murdered New Jersey State Trooper Warner Forster.
She escaped from prison in 1979, and the FBI says she's currently in Cuba. Chesimard was a member of the Black Liberation Army, which the FBI calls one of the most violent militant groups of the 1970s.
Can somebody give me Trump's? I mean, this was under Obama. Obama appoints the head of the FBI. The president appoints the head of the FBI. So this was under Obama. And nobody wants to talk about stuff like this. Like, no one wants to talk about it. Like, there's no protest. There's no, oh, we got to demand she get removed from the FBI most wanted list. Like, it's just odd. This black woman. So let's get into Kamala Harris now. And somebody sent this to me. Like, I didn't know this. So Kamala Harris is being blamed for ruining Nina Simone's estate, of taking Nina Simone's estate. Kamala Harris. Now we're gonna jump into this article. And we're gonna read it. And no one has anything to say about it. Nina Simone's granddaughter blamed Vice President Kamala Harris for singer's estate that was taken away from family. Nina Simone's granddaughter spoke out against Vice President Kamala Harris on Twitter. Rihanna Simone Kelly blamed Harris for taking away Simone's estate from the family. Harris oversaw a case in which Simone's daughter allegedly breached her fiduciary duty to the estate, the Daily Beast reported. The family of late singer Nina Simone claimed Vice President Kamala Harris had taken away the singer's estate from them. Rihanna Simone Kelly, Simone's granddaughter, made the accusation on Friday in a series of tweets. Now, if this were Donald Trump, who took away this black woman's estate from her legendary grandmother, folks would be up in arms. Folks will be up in arms. Rihanna took aim at Harris. Here we go. Rihanna initially started tweeting to share her support for a cover of Feeling Good performed on Friday by Chloe Bailey, but she began responding to fans in the comment section. Rihanna took aim at Harris in response to a user's question on why Simone's estate created a Twitter account for the jazz singer 9 years after her death in 2003. My family doesn't run her estate anymore. It was taken away from us and given to white people. Again, if this were Donald Trump, even if it's true or not, even if it wasn't true or not, black folks would be outraged. Black folks would be outraged. And ready to hit the streets. Trump's a white supremacist. This is the proof. Look what he did to Nina Simone. But look what she allegedly, because I'll be honest, I don't know how this estate stuff really works. Like in this matter, as far as I know, you appoint people to estates, but I don't know how, someone could snatch 400 years of slavery and oppression from the white supremacy. Trump took away the Nina Simone estate, 400 years of supremacy. That's what they would be yelling. My family doesn't run her estate anymore. It was taken away from us and given to white people. Our family name was dragged in the media, Rihanna wrote. We get no royalties, nothing. Want to hold someone accountable. Ask Kamala Harris why she came for my family. The Daily Beast reported that the family's tension with Harris began in 2013 when she worked as California's Attorney General. Lisa Simone Kelly, the daughter of Nina Simone and mother of Rihanna, was appointed the administrator to the singer's estate and charitable trust. Around that time, Lisa was accused of breaching her fiduciary duty to the estate and trust, the Daily Beast reported. Lisa allegedly used up to $2 million from funds, including an alleged $1.5 million deposit into her personal company. Harris oversaw the case proceedings at one point, attempting to surcharge Lisa almost $6 million with $2.5 million in interest. The case ended in a settlement that saw Lisa lose her administrator title and give up her rights to Simone's works, the Daily Beast reported. Lisa was also banned from suggesting or saying she had any affiliation with her mother's estate and legacy. Neither Rihanna nor the White House immediately responded to insiders' requests for comment. On Twitter, Rihanna voiced her grievances about the situation and further placed blame on Harris. Rihanna said Simone's estate is in shambles now, and the proceedings allegedly separated the family. Rihanna also suggested that she was hurt after Simone's. So my thing is, you can't put another family member ahead of the estate. See, I got questions. You can't put another family member ahead of the estate. You got to sell it completely to somebody else. Rihanna also suggests she was hurt after Simone's Feeling Good was performed for President Joe Biden and Harris during the inauguration. Oh, rub it in. Oh, wait, while we're asking Kamala questions, ask her why, after all this pain and suffering she put us through, and Nina Simone's song was sang at the inauguration to swear her in as VP, she wrote. Lisa on Saturday shared a video to Instagram where she said she supported her daughter's remarks. Okay, so Lisa, I'm assuming, is Nina Simone's daughter, and Rihanna was the granddaughter. I'm supporting everything she said. She's speaking her truth. She's speaking the truth of our family. And search for who? Wendy Williams' family does not run Wendy's estate either. But when I put the link in the chat room, you got to call in. I'm not saying it's either right or wrong, but I know if this was a white person that did this, black women will be up in arms. I know that for a fact. Black folks will be up in arms. And I got another one. And for some reason, I don't understand why black people aren't. See, See, black people are focusing on Kamala Harris's record against black men, and what they're doing now is trying to downplay it, and minimize the impact, the negative impact that Kamala Harris had against black men. But they're ignoring what she did to black women. And we're going to play this video in regards to the truancy convictions. Here we go. There was an actual interview of a lady who was interviewed over the truancy. That was a good one that we're going to pull up. But guys, what I'll do, I'll put the link in the chat room here in a minute. And guys, I'll put the link in the chat room right now. If you guys want to call in, you can start calling in. Guys, links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the if you want to call and add to the conversation, you can. Again, if you want to call in and add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to. Again, link is in the chat room. Here we go. Here we go. We're gonna listen to this, guys. This is from NPR. But link is in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you guys want to call in, please call in. If you want to call in, please call in. Let's put this in the chat room real quick. This is from NPR.
Kamala Harris's record as a prosecutor in California is once again open to scrutiny now that she is Joe Biden's running mate. One particularly contentious part of her record is her years-long campaign against truancy. That is when a child is
Truancy, I'm sorry.
absent from school.
I'm saying truancy. It's truancy. I'm sorry.
Harris launched that campaign when she was San Francisco district attorney after learning that a high proportion of homicide victims were high school dropouts. Later, as she ran for attorney general in California, she pushed for a state law that would penalize parents whose children missed too much school. Here's what she said at her inauguration in 2011.
We are putting parents on notice. If you fail to take responsibility for your kids, we are going to make sure that you face the full force and consequences of the law.
The law remains controversial today. Molly Redden of HuffPost wrote an article last year titled "The Human Costs of Kamala Harris's War on Truancy." And Molly Redden joins us now. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So lay out for us what Kamala Harris was hoping to achieve here by going tough on parents.
Yeah, she really argued that preventing truancy, it wasn't just about ensuring that every child got a great education, which is, of course, a great goal, but also to avoid future criminality. And so that's why she said it made sense for her as the top law enforcement officer in the city to get involved in an education issue. And according to her office, San Francisco's truancy rates did begin to fall. She says that they fell in the city by 32%.
I mentioned the California legislature passed a law and it included that parents could face a $2,500 fine or could face a year in jail if their kids were truant. Spell out for me what the criticism of this law was.
So, the criticism of this law is that when children miss a lot of school, a lot of times the reason for that is not totally under the parent's control. Maybe the parent or family moves around a lot because the parent has lost a job. Maybe the child doesn't feel safe in school. There can be a lot of reasons, and schools and parents can work together to solve those problems. But what the law does is escalates things in ways that point fingers at the parents. First there's a letter sent home, hey, why isn't your kid in school? And then there's a conference to try to work out a solution. But if that doesn't work, then maybe there's a letter from the district attorney, and then maybe there's a court date and a hearing. And so it increasingly blames the parents, critics said, and oftentimes parents just don't have all the resources they need to solve these problems.
Give us an example just to make this personal. I noted one woman who you interviewed in your reporting. Her daughter has sickle cell. Her daughter is often too sick to go to school. The school knew that. Your article is accompanied by a picture of this woman being let off in handcuffs when her child had missed too much school. What is their story?
So that woman's name is Cherie Peoples. She claims that the school was not working with her in the way that the school is legally required to do to make sure those absences are excused. What happened in this case, it appears, is that the prosecutor just took a really punitive stance, didn't really engage in the spirit of the law that Harris fought for, which is that schools and parents would work together, and just pulled the trigger on filing charges against her, perp walking her in a way that Ms. People says didn't really solve anything. She fought this case in court for 2 years, and then the charges were one day dropped.
So, in the coming up to a decade now since Kamala Harris pushed for this to become a state law, has she expressed any regret over the way this has played out? Has she shifted her stance at all?
So she has not shifted her stance generally on taking on the issue. And I should say that education advocates that I spoke to are generally glad that she focused attention on this issue. Harris has said that she regrets that she's heard stories where the DAs have criminalized the parents. She said, I regret that that has happened, and the thought that I did anything that could have led to that.
I suppose the broader question here is, what did you learn in reporting this in terms of the way she approaches tackling entrenched societal problems, that she sees this as something to be worked through the apparatus of law enforcement?
I think it shows the limits of trying to change a system from inside the system. That's something that Harris talks about as her origin story a lot. She had an activist mother. She grew up with activists, and then she became a prosecutor because she thought she could make a bigger difference from the inside. And what a lot of critics said is that her fight against truancy shows that there are limits to transforming a system from the inside.
Molly Redden, she's a senior reporter with HuffPost. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Oh, here we go. In fact,
And now,
here we go. Hold on.
from
Let me
NPR.
play this video. Hold on. No, here we go. I found her.
This episode is brought to you by Synchrony Bank. There's talking about saving, and there's doing it. Synchrony Bank empowers you to tackle your savings goals with a newsworthy 4.75% APY on their high-yield savings account.
All right, Miss Peoples, fair use. In fact, everyone go subscribe to Cherie Peoples podcast. Cherie Peoples podcast. And so this is the lady that's going to speak on her experience, being curb walked for truancy. Somebody said my University of Georgia education. All right, whatever. So here we go. Here's the victim right here.
Be you telling my story, and this, no matter what you're going through, just be you. Just be you. Welcome to the Miss People podcast. I am your host, Cherie Peoples, and welcome. And today we're going to be talking about my story that is so, so dear to my heart. I love talking about my story. I love telling my story, and this is something that is my passion. I want to be able to help others that may be in the same situation as I've been, and I hope that my story can help you. That is my goal, is to be able to help you when you're going through a hardship, a hard time, like I did with my school district being arrested for truancy. And all I was trying to do was help my daughter ensure her health, make sure she lived another day. She has a hereditary condition called sickle cell anemia. It's very painful. She caught it from me and her dad. She got a gene from me, a S gene from me.
Hey guys, I'm glad she's bringing up sickle cell. So I don't have sickle cell, but I have sickle cell trait, meaning I cannot reproduce with a woman who has sickle cell trait, because that increases the chances of the child having sickle cell. So if you have sickle cell trait, and I didn't find out that I had sickle cell trait until I went to the University of Georgia and they did blood work on me and it came back sickle cell trait. So, and that shows that I am a West African. I have sickle cell trait. So that just I am West African to the 100th power. Because of my sickle cell trait. So here we go.
An S gene from her dad, and she tested positive for sickle cell SS at that 2 weeks old. I knew she had sickle cell at 2 weeks old. I understood some of the issues that come along with sickle cell. They have their hands and feet get swollen. They have a lot of pain. They have a high risk of having a stroke. They have a high risk of infections. Getting sick is not an option for them. They have to have blood transfusions and spend a lot of time in the hospital. Sickle cell is not pretty. The one thing about me, because I have the sickle cell trait, it was to protect me from malaria. Because in Africa, malaria.
That's another thing. If you have sickle cell trait, you have a natural resistance to malaria. Also, that's what they say. So here we go. Guys, hit the like button.
It's a theme.
If you have entered the chat room, if you're watching this, please hit that like button. Again, please hit the like button so we get more eyes on this. This is important.
You can die from malaria. And our genes manipulated itself just to save a whole entire culture of people. That is amazing, right? Me having sickle cell trait, it could be a blessing, because I was able to live through malaria. So if I was in Africa, malaria won't kill me. That is a blessing. But what is not a blessing is when you mate with another person that has the trait, because it is a possibility that your child can test positive of sickle cell. I didn't know I had the trait. I didn't know. I knew about her father's, but I didn't know me. I told my doctor that they test me. I didn't get tested. Nope. I didn't find out that my child had sickle cell until she was 2 weeks old. Thankfully, to the state of California children testing, because they have to all be tested for hereditary conditions. So they actually do a panel of different diseases, and Shayla's panel came back positive for sickle cell SS. And they tested me. I tested positive for the S trait, and we knew her dad, even though he tested again and tested positive, and they confirmed that my child has sickle cell SS. I've always been proactive with my daughter's health care ever since the beginning. Ever since the beginning, I've always been proactive. I read up on as much as I could with the data that was presented to me, made sure she went to her doctor's appointments.
And guys, so Sheree Peoples is one of the victims of Kamala, a black woman, again, a black woman, who was one of the victims of Kamala Harris's truancy. And guys, don't judge me. I was saying truancy. When she was enforcing the truancy laws.
And you literally, from 3 months old, you're being followed by doctors, specialists. You get lung doctors. You probably have a cardiologist. You will have whatever issue you're dealing with. You may have a specialist in that area. So growing up with sickle cell at a very early age, and then happened to transition into school age, her doctors would say, hey, Miss Peoples, make sure you get a letter, make sure, you have meetings with the school and explain to them what sickle cell is. And if you need anything, let us know. And of course I did. As she got older and she grew, the sickle cell don't change. You still got doctor's appointments you got to go to. You still got meds you got to pick up. When the weather changing, you're dealing with pain crisis, or they have a fever. And that's number one, is when they have a fever, that's automatic. You go into the hospital. There's no questions asked. You call the doctor or you call the exchange office and you tell them your child has a fever of 101. Can you please go to the emergency room right now? Is what they're going to tell you. They're not going to wait. Now, if you have a pain crisis and you're calling because you can't get the pain under control, they may give you a pain regimen that you can do for at least 72 hours. If it doesn't work within that time frame, then they're going to tell you to bring the child to the hospital so they can be more aggressive with higher doses of pain management, because it's illegal to leave the child in pain. I cannot legally leave my daughter in sickle cell pain because now I'm neglecting her health care. Sickle cell pain is not a typical, I bumped my knee pain. You literally feeling needles and stabbing is what is being described to me, going through their veins. I remember a time when Shayla had to crawl around my house because her legs hurt so bad. She couldn't walk. I was actually putting her on my back just to get her downstairs so we can go to the doctor's office, or trying to make sure we can do as much as we can at home before we went to the hospital, because she got to get poked so many times trying to find an IV. And this is before she had a porta-cap. So sickle cell is not the type of condition that you can plan or have a treatment plan for. It's not cancer. There's no treatment plan. I call it prevent stuff from happening type plan. It's up to me to prevent her from being sick, making sure she's hydrated, making sure she takes her medicine around the clock, hydroxyurea and penicillin, the things that babies are put on when they're diagnosed with sickle cell. The number one thing is staying hydrated, keeping them warm. Change of temperature can cause a pain crisis. I remember going to the market as a single parent with a child with sickle cell, and it's hot outside. Child was a mission, because if you know, the markets out in California where I was going to had open refrigerators. So where the eggs are, it's open. It's not a door. So all the back walls, everything where the meat is, everything is open. Freezers are open. So the change of temperature coming from 90 degrees instantly inside of a store that can be 68, and then it gets cold in the freezer section, can cause a pain crisis. I will be walking into the market and Shayla will have a beanie and a jacket on like it's a -2 outside. And people is looking at us like we crazy because she has a whole beanie on. But the goal is to keep her warm and not for the change of temperature to affect her body to give her a pain crisis, because guess what? Bam, we'll be in the hospital. So you find ways to adjust. And if that adjustment took me putting on a beanie and putting on a jacket and making sure she stay warm, and then what I will do is find the warmest part of the store, or where they have the blowers and it kind of blow out warm air, and then I shop around her. And then I'm talking while I'm shopping. Or I'll say, Shayla, sing your ABC so I can hear her, because I didn't want to push the basket in the cold section.
Guys, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, so we get the gist of sickle cell. This is what her daughter has. This is why her daughter is missing school, because there's just no way to really treat sickle cell depending on the severity of it. So let me.
And she's missing a lot of school. So now you're dealing with another birthday, and she now in elementary school, but she's still dealing with sickle cell and pain crisis. So She's still missing school now. And she's missing a lot of school. It's not but sickle cell was hard. To watch her crawl was hard. But what was harder was receiving notices in the mail from her school indicating something called truancy. So I started getting these letters in the mail, and as I'm getting these letters, I'm going to the principal, like, hey, principal, look at this. What is this? We just had a conversation. We just had a meeting. What's going on, principal? Oh, Miss Peoples, it's all right. It's all right. It's nothing. It's nothing. They automatically generate. It's the reason why I go by Miss Peoples, because this is how things work. It was easier because Cherie, I couldn't stand when they called me Cherie. My name is Sheree, Cheree, Sheree. So it made it easier for them to call me Miss Peoples. It's automatically generated. Don't worry about it. It's automatically generated. Okay. Don't worry about it. But meanwhile, while they're telling me not to worry about it, I'm writing letters to the superintendent. I'm trying to find disability attorneys, educational attorneys to figure out a plan of action for my daughter's education. I'm a single parent. I have to ensure her health care and her education. I cannot do it all. On top of having to work so I can have some kind of income, so I can ensure that she have a safe place to come to when she gets discharged out of the hospital. Those are my goals. And I'm going to pull resources to be able to help me navigate it. And I understood.
So she started to get the letters, even though she had a conversation with the principal, and the principal said, it's just, it's formality. Don't worry about it. So, but I'm going to fast forward a little bit more.
Table, I'm packing up food to take it to her so she won't feel left out. Trying to find a way to make her feel normal. Understand there are things that we are in control of, and we're not in control. So to navigate this educational component while taking care of my daughter at the same time was not an easy feat. When I got these letters in the mail, I went to the principal for sure. I went. I asked. It's automatically generated. Don't worry. That's what I got. And that's literally what was told to me. I was pregnant with my son. I always wanted more than one child. And I was so thankful and blessed that I was able to have another child, even though my pregnancy was high risk. And I just would never forget being in the hospital, having him, and literally arguing with whoever was on the phone about a meeting. Like, how can I be in the meeting and I'm at the hospital delivering my baby? Like, make it make sense, right? Make it make sense. But I've been to the superintendent. I didn't even got her attendance overturned, y'all. She had 60 unexcused absences plus whatever reason. They had so many absences on Shayla. Okay. Whatever you need, I can provide documentation. I'm not keeping her home because I want her home. I'm not keeping her home because I don't want her to get the education that she deserves and that she needs. No, I'm keeping her home because the doctors told me to, because I called them first before I even kept her home. Then the doctor said, Sheree, go ahead and apply and ask for an IEP. This is before my arrest. Asked for an IEP. I put it in writing, did everything I needed to do. I get a denial letter in the mail letting me know she wasn't qualified for an IEP, but she still had a 504. But I really didn't know a process about the IEP, so I went ahead and just redid the whole thing over instead of appealing it. I just said, forget it. I'm going to just go ahead and try to fight for it one way or another. But meanwhile, next thing I know, while I'm working the process, they send an investigator to my house. Like, okay, because I know I'm working on an IEP and issues I'm having with the district, I'm thinking this investigation is to help Me, I don't have a problem with the police. I ain't been to jail. What did I do wrong but trying to ensure my daughter's health? Like, I'm not out here trying to rob nobody. That's not what I'm trying to do. And then my child's father, my son's dad, wakes me up one morning, and I sure clearly didn't know what the heck he was saying to me. I just know somebody was at the door. I thought I know. I went downstairs to the door, and the police officer was there and was like, "Oh yeah, we have a warrant for your arrest, Miss Peoples." I was here the day that the investigation went down. So this whole entire investigation, I didn't.
So she's thinking everything is good. She has the doctor's notes, the excuses, the principal's telling her that you don't have to worry about anything, but she has a warrant for her arrest.
And pulled out documents and everything was used against me. When I thought they were here to help me, I thought the school district was here to help. How is helping me arresting me? How is helping my child arresting me, though? Now you're taking me away from my home. And now I have a criminal case that I have to fight, on top of taking care of my daughter and my family during a time that was very, very hard for us. We was in transition a lot during this time, trying to set up homeschool for her, being denied the homeschool because we were homeless and they couldn't do it at the library, and Shayla was sick, and I'm trying to do home hospital. They wouldn't do the home hospital because the hospital was out of the district, and because it was out of the district. So my thing is, if she was doing a home hospital the whole time, even though it was out of the district and that attendance was being counted, but yet they want to come and arrest me for truancy, and she was still enrolled in school though. But because it was two different districts and the attendance wasn't being accounted at her home district, this is why truancy needs not to be a criminal offense. Do we need things in place? Of course we do. Do we need the children to get education? Of course we do. Do we need the parent to go to criminal court? No, we don't. That is not something that we need in place. And it's definitely not fair when you find politicians using it and using you as a footstool. It's definitely not fair. When the whole entire time, all you trying to do as a parent is to ensure your daughter's health, and she lives another day. And for me to be arrested and go to jail for truancy over an issue in a condition that my daughter...
Again, so she was arrested and went to jail for truancy because of her daughter's sickle cell situation that she explained to the people who needed to know, but she was still arrested for truancy. So that's what this is about under Kamala Harris. So this is Kamala Harris. This is a Black woman, and she gets arrested for truancy because of her daughter.
Missed school behind is very, very unacceptable. For her to have a 504 plan, for it to be a federal document, and for me to encourage other parents to get a 504 to help protect them, how can I? I would love to tell my parents, I want to get a 504, and half the time I do. But what is it really protecting? Because it sure in the hell didn't protect me, and it sure in the hell didn't protect my daughter, because they were looking at her like a criminal. Oh, Miss Peoples, you need to bring her to the OC grip, and the grip is basically police officers, probation officers at the police department. And this young lady have sickle cell. Make it make sense. Why do she need probation officers for a condition? She ain't missing school because I'm not taking her, just because I'm being lazy and I don't want to get up in the morning. She misses school because she literally has a condition that kept her out of school. So, do you have a child that has a condition? Are they sending you letters to your house? This is the reason why we need to get rid of the criminal aspect of truancy. Because no parent deserved to go through what I went through. Don't no parent, it doesn't matter if they have a condition or not, to be threatened for your children to be taken away from you, to have to go to criminal court, to deal with fines when you already low income, you already homeless. How you gonna come up with that money? So you might as well spend the time in jail. That means that's time away from your family. And now don't be on SSI or anything, or your job is to care for your loved one, and they doing a life scan and you can't even pass life scan because you got a record. So at the end of the day, it's making it hard for you to get employment or keep a job, because I know when I was going through it, my job fired me because it came back on my background.
Whoa.
I got
Whoa. So her truancy was on her background check. Oh man. This is under Kamala. This is a black woman. Can we not be emotional? Can you give me Donald Trump's truancy example? Can you give me Donald Trump's Asada Shakur's example? Can you give me Donald Trump's Libya? Again, Donald Trump runs his mouth. He does. He runs his mouth. He does. But I mean, come on. And it was interesting. Like I said, no one's bringing up the truancy. They're just focused on, well, you know, the black men. You know, he didn't really hurt black men like that. Guys, give me a second.
fired. Y'all, they let me off. It was like, you gotta go. You have an open case. And because I had an open case and the case wasn't settled, I couldn't work. I was scared. I didn't have nobody to turn to. I didn't want to tell anybody I was homeless because I really didn't want them to come in and take my kids. And then when Shayla had her stroke while I was going through my case, because she saw me on TV, y'all, that was the worst thing that a parent can ever know, that your child seen you get arrested on TV, and how that affected her, and that this will be affecting me to this day. And then turn around some years later, you get a knock on the door from HuffPost asking you for your story because they know you got arrested having a child with sickle cell for truancy. And now your mind is really boggled, because when you was really trying to find attorneys to help you fight the district, it's like you was black. Like nobody wanted to help me. Nobody. And then next thing you hear is Kamala Harris is running for president, and she had her fingers all up in this truancy mess. She was the one that made truancy a criminal offense for parents. And they want to know how did I get sucked up into all this mess? I want to know too. Like, I didn't have documents to prove that she had sickle cell. Like, they couldn't just come ask me. I had to actually go to criminal court to prove my daughter had sickle cell, and the hospital documentation wasn't enough. Make it make sense. And then come back to me some odd years later to say, oh, Kamala Harris is running for president, and that's the reason why, because she put a policy in place that Arnold Schwarzenegger made possible. And because my district attorney took heed to the letter that Kamala Harris sent out, putting people on notice about truancy, he went ahead and put parents on notice. He put them on notice to the point where he made sure that cameras was there at the house so it can be documented and shown that, hey, if your kids miss school, this is what's going to happen to you. But it just took a really good friend of mine to tell me, hey, Sheree, I need you to sit down. I want you to do me a really, really good favor and Google yourself. I never thought about Googling myself. It was just, okay. She said, Google yourself. I know I did. I wasn't sitting down, but I did. And when I tell you the things that I found, and I realized that I was just set up to be somebody's political pawn, but that is what I'm not. And I know God has blessed me with this test for a testimony. And I just wanted to share my test with you, my testimony with you, and hope it helps you and help me make a change.
A wise man once said, may your messy be your message. May your messy be your message. There we go. Not saying you're a messy, sister, but you know, your testimony, not saying you're messy, but I'm just saying, okay, I'm sorry. Not saying you're messy. You're not messy, but I'm just saying, may your messy be your message. So what you went through is now your testimony. There you go.
Change in this law. And if your state has this type of law, let's make a change throughout the whole entire United States of America. Let's bring change, because we do not need a criminal policy to arrest parents for truancy at the end of the day. Because if my 504 did not protect me, or my daughter having a 504, where's our protection as parents? Because we definitely need something. We need something, y'all. But I'm so happy you guys tuned in to Miss People's podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today has been a wonderful, awesome day. Thank you so much. Tune in next time, and always remember to just be you.
Oh, sorry. There we go. There we go. But let me pull this up about Donald Trump. And then, guys, I'm going to put the link in the chat room. You're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. Hold on. Here we go. This is what Donald Trump did. And the reason why this is important for Black women is because I was told by Black women that over 97,000 Black women are missing. And this is what Donald Trump put in place to combat human trafficking. This is what he did. Executive order. Here we go right here. Let me hold on. Let me actually because I want to get some commentary on it. That's what I'm looking for. I want some commentary on it. Here we go. We'll do this right. Here we go. Here's a good one. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Please hit that like button. And also, we'll open up the lines here shortly.
President Trump just took the podium at the White House. We're going to listen in now live.
Step to protect the victims of this form of modern day slavery here in the United States and all around the world. My administration is 100% committed to eradicating human trafficking from the earth. I am pleased to be joined this afternoon by Vice President Mike Pence and the members of my cabinet, Attorney General William Barr, Secretary Jean Scalia. Hello, Jean. Secretary Alex Azar, who's very busy, and I'm going to see you in a little while, right? Unfortunately for this, in this case. Acting Secretary Chad Wolf, great job with those numbers. Great job, Chad. Deputy Secretary Stephen Begun. Hi, Stephen. And thanks also to Representatives Chris Smith, Ann Wagner, Michael McCall, and Chip Roy for being with us. Thank you very much. And we have a lot of great senators that wanted to be here so desperately, but I said, just stay where you are and do your job, please. We also have with us Ambassadors Callista Gingrich. Hi, Callista. Sam Brownback and John Richmond. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. And Director of the FBI, Christopher Wray. Christopher, thank you, Chris. And we have Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, very active. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much. And Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody. Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Ashley. Florida Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez. And First Lady of Texas, Cecilia Abbott. I just saw your husband, by the way. I just saw your great husband, great gentleman. And North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dan. Great. And I'm especially grateful to Ivanka for her unwavering efforts. She has taken this under her wing. Thank you very much. Thank you, honey.
If you have a child 12 or older and you like for them to get into the best university possible, I have something.
Ivanka's been a champion for administrative and legislative actions to combat human trafficking and a true heart. She has this issue has been so important to her. This and making sure people are ready to work. And she's now created over 15 million jobs for the people of our country. One of the reasons our unemployment numbers are the best ever. 15 million. And I would say that this issue may be closest to our heart because of the level of evil that you would never believe is even possible in a modern age. The level of evil is incredible. So I want to just thank Ivanka for both of the things that you're really focused on. Thank you very much, honey. Appreciate it. 15 million jobs. There's going to be 500,000. Daddy, I think we can do 500,000 within about a week. She broke that, and now she's up to 15 million jobs. It's fantastic, though. I'm not surprised, Mike. We're not surprised. We're also honored to have with us several extraordinary survivors of human trafficking, and I want to thank you all for being here, and you'll come up when we sign, and it's going to be my great honor to say hello and shake your hand. And your courage really inspires us all. I want to just let you know that. As the men and women in this room know, human trafficking is a problem everywhere, worldwide problem. Human trafficking is worse than ever before, and that's because of the internet. I've heard from Bill Barr and I've heard from others that the internet has caused lots of good things to happen and lots of really bad things, and this is probably the worst of the bad things, and it's an incredible thing. An estimated 25 million people around the world today are being held captive, manipulated, and abused by human traffickers. In 2018 alone, the National Human Trafficking Hotline identified over 23,000 human trafficking victims in the United States. 65% of these victims were women. More than 1 in 5 were children. Human traffickers prey on their most vulnerable citizens and people. They're vicious, they're violent. My administration is fighting these monsters, persecuting and prosecuting them and locking them away for a very, very long time. We've had a tremendous track record, the best track record in a long time. We are dismantling the criminal organizations that make large-scale human trafficking possible. In my first month in office, I instructed federal agencies to go out and just do what you have to do. All federal departments are doing what they do to identify and destroy these groups, and we are destroying a lot of them. Unfortunately, they come back very quickly in a different form. In 2018, the Department of Justice shut down the leading site for online sex trafficking. The DOJ prosecuted a number of violent crimes that now is a record number. In the last 3 years, ICE has arrested over 5,000 human traffickers, and I want to thank ICE. They have been incredible. These are great, great people. Great people. They're tough, they're brave, and they love our country. Overseas, we've also seen historic progress, incredible progress, working with us and using our intelligence with them. When I took office, ISIS controlled over 20,000 square miles of territory and perpetrated some of the most heinous forms of human trafficking anywhere in the world. As you know, we've talked.
So I want that was important. That was important. Also, I want to bring this up too, because people keep bringing up Trump and his record as far as the turnover, turnover while he was in office, as far as the number of people who were hired and left or were fired. But guess whose turnover was worse than Trump's? Kamala Harris. Let's pull this up. It's like the thing about people on the left, you guys are just running out of arguments now. So the argument was, oh man, Trump had all these people, all this turnover. Kamala Harris's turnover was worse. We got to pay for that. We ain't paying for that. Here we go. Come on. Substacks. VP for Kamala Harris had 92% staff turnover during her first 3 years. People really, really do not want to work for Kamala Harris, wrote former staffer Dan McLaughlin. Top line. Under Kamala Harris, the office of and Simone Sanders left too. The office of the vice president has been called a revolving door, a staff exodus of key aides heading for the exits. That's not hyperbole from the national media. Our auditors at the Open the Books quantified an extraordinary 91.5% staff turnover rate. Donald Trump's was 85%. We use U.S. Senate disclosures to conduct our investigation, and those databases can be downloaded below. Elected in November 2020, Harris took the oath of office in January 2021. As of March 31st, 2024, only 4 of the initial 47 staffers from the first year are still employed, consistently and without interruption by the vice president. Furthermore, the turnover chaos isn't getting better. In the trailing 12-month period, 24 staffers left. That's almost half the employees. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, click on the link. Again, if you want to call in and add to the conversation, link is in the chat room. I'll do a separate show on that. Again, links in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and click on the link. you guys, links in the chat room if you want to call in after the convo. You're more than welcome to call in and add to the convo. All right, if no one's gonna call in, Kamala versus Trump. Go ahead.
Hi, Dynast.
Hello.
Hello. The situation in
Kamala
California.
versus Trump. Go ahead. You got to turn off the playback.
Hi, Dynast.
Hello.
Hello.
You have to turn off the playback. Kamala versus Trump. Go ahead. You have to turn off the playback.
Okay, that should.
There you go. All right, go ahead.
Kamala in California. This woman was very, what's the word, litigiant. Her office took punitive action. And when you behave like this towards Black women, and I can only imagine if there was a Black African woman who was going through, who could have also gotten caught in this wave. When you use the courts as a punitive action, is done by design. This was done by design, Dynast. This did not just happen. This was a coordinated effort. And I've mentioned this to you. Like, you really think she didn't know, or she did not have available data that the majority of those truant students come from Black families? And keep in mind, the California Black population has been steadily declining since really the early 90s.
No, you're right. Absolutely right.
So you're taking punitive action against a group that is economically, in many respects, disenfranchised. You then want to use your power as a court officer, to strike punitive action against Black people.
Right.
That's exactly what happened. And she knew what she was doing.
So,
Is that going to stop anyone? Going back to your topic, no. Do I think she's a very good chance of winning? Absolutely. I really do.
You really do?
That she has a chance of winning? Yes, I do. Because she's come from the correct Black, quote unquote, Black pedigree. How she looks, she is an AKA. You really believe, Dynast, that this is the first sorority, not just the white sororities, quote unquote, which they have never produced anyone, but to have a Black sorority. And where I went to school, they were not given a lot of visibility. The Deltas and the AKAs, they were not given quite a bit of visibility. Their house was very small, Dynast.
Yeah, well, I think that's on the majority of campuses where the houses, like, we didn't even have a house. I'm a Kappa. We didn't even have a house on campus. We had a house off campus, but we never really did anything there.
You didn't see, like, that's the opposite of these white sororities. Like, their homes are like just
beautiful.
Oh my, just absolutely incredible. And these white sororities are tiered. And now you have, from the Black sorority side, the most recognized, it's really from what I know, AKA and Delta and the Deltas. And now to have an AKA not only vice president, but running for president. And she's also from that generation. And Dynast, she does have the look that her generation of Black people want. They're not going to miss this opportunity. This is not, no one, and it's California, nobody cares. Like, what happened is California, and there's not even like a significant Black population in California. Notice how there's no attention. There's no Al Sharpton, there's no Benjamin Crump. In Texas, there's a guy named Quanell X. He does a lot of activist work.
I know Quanell. Yeah, I know who he is.
So you heard about that story.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah.
The teacher. doing only, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Okay. I heard the story, but now she was what, stripping for the students? Oh man.
Yeah, she was. You should listen to Cornell describe it. It's just real black. He was wearing, he looked quite dapper. He was wearing a suit, but he's a storyteller. Not that he tells stories, but he can definitely tell.
So Kamala versus Trump. Let me ask you this: what's the
Yeah.
difference between Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton? Because Hillary Clinton lost in
Hillary.
2016. So what's the difference?
People do not like Hillary Clinton, and she has a very
People don't like Kamala. I think Kamala's less liked.
okay,
In
but
fact, she is less liked.
Hillary has an enemies list, and I haven't even told you the truth about Hillary. Like, there's a lot where it comes to Hillary Clinton. I know white people who readily believe that she has unalived people. Like, white people say this. I have spoken to two white men about maybe 7 years ago. They brought it up to me. They really do believe that Hillary Clinton has unalived people. And that doesn't even, and speaking about that, I don't know if you know the story regarding Webb Hubbell and the Rose Law Firm in the 90s, and he mysteriously died. There is so much to say about Hillary Clinton. She's just, her significance, she's the first lady to ever have a college degree, ever. Never mind the fact this woman went to law school, Yale. And the only reason she's even with Bill Clinton is because she failed the Washington, D.C. bar exam. So she drove back to Arkansas, and Bill Clinton was working as a bouncer at a chitty bar in Little Rock.
I never knew that.
It's Bill Clinton. I mean, you know how he is. Like, these two, like she's not liked. People don't even think she likes her own husband. They've always come off like a political couple, like they're only in it for the power, which is the complete opposite of the Obamas, who are known for like being in love and loving each other and people genuinely liking them. Like she doesn't come off as authentic. She's very smart. She's very cold. She's very calculating. She's Hillary. But people remember the 90s, the roaring 90s. Oh, the 90s was very good. A lot of money, a lot going on. But people just do not like her. I knew for a fact, Dinah, she was not going to win 2016. Black people were not going to come out and vote for Hillary.
I don't see black people coming out for Kamala. In fact, I think more black people came out for Hillary than Kamala.
Well, more black people are going, okay, but the boomers are not going to miss this opportunity to have Kamala. Because at the end of the day, Kamala has a look. She looks real 90s girl, and she's an AKA, and she is VP, and she was a Secretary of State and Senator of California. Like, she does have the background, and she does date black men. She didn't marry, but
she didn't marry one.
Okay, that's long story, but by definition, from all of the red pill manosphere, isn't she? What is the word they say? Isn't she not over the hill? But there's always like derogatory terms black men use towards older black women, and she married her husband later in life, and they don't even have any children. So she has a partner. She has a partner, and she accepts his children. They call her Mamala. So, she doesn't have children of her own. So a lot of black women can relate to her, because you cannot become Attorney General of California if you're not skilled. Like, there's so much sleeping around you can do. Nobody is going to hand off, Willie Brown's sneaky link, the Attorney General of California. That's not going to happen. Like, it's not just passing the California State Bar is just so difficult. And very few black people even do it, the California State Bar. And she did know the late Vernon Jordan, God bless him. She did know him. Kamala did know him as well. So she knows all the black greats. It wouldn't be surprising if she knew Johnny Cochran. She knows all the black attorneys. She's been around in the 90s. She's a 90s girl. She's going to win. Black boomers and Gen X are not going to sit this one out. White men like her. I do think there will be enough white liberal men who do like her because of her background, and she does have a white husband. So, but white women, I don't know. That one, I just do not know. I don't know. That's a toughie, Dynast. That's a toughie because a lot of white women, you wish you could be like Kamala. Kamala, I mean, look what she did. See what you want about her. She did play her cards right. She moved right. She moved correctly. Even though she had a zaddy, her zaddy did put her on and bought her a BMW. So Kamala didn't waste her time. Kamala made use of her abilities and look where she is now. Like, white women may be jealous of that. There's some who are going to be jealous because, some of them are not as bright as Kamala,
Somebody said Kamala failed the California bar several times.
Because it's the hardest in the union. Dynast, my brother failed the California State Bar twice. He called me in the ocean, freaking out. And then he put I'm not gonna say what he was stressed.
Mm-hmm.
Third time's the charm.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like your type of guy too. And he's he's like your type of guy, like type of guy that you would like associate with. Mm-hmm. And he's super smart. And he's K through JD. Like and he it's hard. The California and last thing before.
Go ahead.
Remember the California State Bar. You can only practice in California. That's very significant. California is very, very strict with their attorneys. They have the hardest bar exam, and they're very, very limited to how their attorneys can practice. But Kamala, she did pass California, and she was successful. So just to share.
Okay, go ahead, Jagun.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good day.
Hello, Jagun.
Good evening.
Hello, Jagun.
My dear, you are welcome.
Hello.
Thank you, Dynast. And Dr. Davis, good to see you. Good to see that you're with us.
Hello, Dr. Davis. Hello, Jagun. Greetings.
I
shall be on mute. Thank you, Dynast.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I won't talk too much about the American politics as my understanding is limited. The way things are done in the States, when I look at it, I find it so confusing, to be frank. I find that the straight road isn't seemingly the road that is taken in American politics. When I look at Kamala Harris, actually her emergence as the person who's running for the Democrats, I feel it has energy. I feel that it's real competition for Donald Trump. Prior to her coming through, I couldn't see anyhow that Donald Trump was not going to be the next president of the USA. Now he has a challenge. Whether that challenge can go all the way, I'm not too sure. I don't know. But I would like to wonder about the amounts of actual Indian people in America who may be able to push her through. I would like to just compare slightly with what's going on in the UK politics, where there is a great demographic of Indian people in the UK, and they are represented at every sphere. The mayor of London is a Pakistani, or he has Pakistani heritage. And meanwhile, nobody likes him in London. He gets there time and time again because of he's a Muslim, because of the Islamic vote, as they put it here in the UK. So the Muslim vote is pushing certain politics here in the UK. We've already seen us with an Indian prime minister, but he was not voted in. He came there from selection. And when the general election came around in the UK, which wasn't too long ago, he lost out quite heavily. Now, I'm just saying this to see if there's any significance in the demographic in America of actual Indian.
I've never heard an Indian excited about.
That's interesting.
Kamala.
Kamala Harris.
Jagun, if I may interrupt for just 1 second, just to let Dynast know that Kamala is in Georgia with Megan Thee Stallion. She's doing.
Oh God, they're gonna be twerking. That's what I'm talking about. Megan's gonna be twerking. And listen, here we go. I guarantee you, her and Megan are gonna be dancing somewhere on a stage. I guarantee you.
I see.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. You see, what I just wanted to touch on that and put that forward, but you have answered me in terms of there's not really a groundswell. Ethnically Indian people who would be following her. Black people who follow her, I don't trust none of them. You know what I mean? I don't understand what they're saying. However, let me actually say, because you played Donald Trump speaking about human trafficking. Now, this subject is quite dear to my heart. In the UK, imagine this number: 200,000 individuals go missing every year in the UK. No, I mean every single year. That's the number. And for me, the horror of it is what plays out in all kinds of heinous areas of life, whereby there's too much crime going on. There's death. There's pedophilia. There's all kinds of ills. And if Donald Trump is seriously looking at this thing, then we have to understand, he has I don't know. Yeah, I find it difficult to understand Trump. I can't lie. However, if he's seriously fighting this whole idea.
John, if I can interject, he signed an executive order to combat it. And the thing is, like with Trump, if you get past Joy Reid, if you ignore Joy Reid and The View and all just the sound bites and just listen to the guy, you'd be like, okay. If you ignore the white supremacy, he's racist, and just look at, okay, before he ran for office, Black folks all these Black entertainers, they were around him, they hung out with him, he looked out for the Black community. The minute he decides he's gonna run, all of a sudden he's a white supremacist racist. It's weird. But go ahead, Jagoon. You got a minute, then I'm gonna pass it.
Yeah, I take that on board. I do take that on board, and that's part of my complexity, my confusion with the individual called Donald Trump. But having said that, for him to assign such a code, if you like, into law whereby he is going against human trafficking, then boy, I think he's picked the biggest enemy on the planet, because this is a worldwide conglomerate effect in everybody's country.
But so Jagoon, that's why they're trying their hardest to go after the guy. They're throwing everything at. They just tried to assassinate him, Jagoon.
Yeah.
I mean,
but people have said that I listened today actually to what can I call it? No, it's not. It's a panel that were speaking to those police that were supposed to protect the detail of Donald Trump, and they threw the book at them, telling them that realistically, do you know that a lot of people are saying that this was a hoax? Was it a hoax? They were put into the lady who was in charge of the whole remit under Donald Trump's security detail. And she was flummoxed most of the time. It sounded to me like she's been there for 28 years, apparently. But it sounded to me like she was a schoolgirl in terms of what she was offering this panel. And the panel were not accepting anything from her. So I found that quite fascinating today. And a lot of people are saying that that was a hoax. People that I know that know how to use weaponry say that if the amount of, they said that there was about 4 or 5 gunshots. They said that one of them would have either bust his head open, or indeed one of those bullets would have killed somebody in the audience, and it didn't.
No. Somebody on this was killed. Three people were shot.
3 people were killed.
Well, no. One person was killed. 2 other people were shot. So
okay.
4.
Okay, but apparently those gunshots did not come from the shooter, is what I'm saying. And
we don't know, but you got 30. I got to pass to Professor Davis. So.
Sure. We've got a bit of time. I'm just underlining those 2 effects.
Okay.
About the running so far. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Go ahead, Professor Davis.
Yes, I'll be very brief. I want to first say that.
Take your time.
Yeah, just want to say to Mr. Jagan first that the President's African Diaspora Council just got back from Nigeria. We went over for a week or so to discuss business with Nigeria, but I'll talk to you later on about that. But
sure.
With Vice President Harris, I'm going to have to agree with Kamala versus Trump in regards to there's a possibility that that VP Harris could win, because unfortunately, far too many African Americans vote symbolism over substance, which is, in my view, it's an issue. And also, too, she's out of the Obama playbook, and what I mean by that is that, as I always say, America has an issue with its heritage Black population. VP Harris is Indian, has an Indian mother, and of course, a Jamaican father. And America still has problems with Blacks like you, Dinus, like me, and like Mr. Pan-African Strike Back, because we're from the country. They always do. And I'll say this again, when you look at the folks who've been elected to the highest office in the land, Obama is Kenyan American. Eric Holder is from Barbados, or he was born in America, but of course his parents are from Barbados. Colin Powell is Jamaican. They have an issue with America's domestic Black population is because we had to go toe to toe with those folks. And so they've never, ever forgiven us for that. So because Harris is quote unquote so-called Black, and unfortunately, a lot of African Americans are not looking at her policies. I mean, they should take a critical look at what this woman stands for and then make a decision. That's all I'll say. Hello?
Where is everyone?
Pan-African, you're not going to respond?
I'm here. I'm waiting on Dinus to give me permission to talk.
Your audio is not good again.
Oh, hold on, Professor Davis, are you done?
Yes, I'm done. I'm done. Thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah. Brandon, you're on your Getro, your Obama phone, Brandon.
Not the Getro.
He's on his Getro. Kamala versus Trump. Well, if you want to go ahead, or Jagun, if you want to respond until Brandon.
I just want to respectfully respond to Dr. Davis.
It's still messed up, Brandon. It's still messed up, Brandon.
The Dr. Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
To disagree, there's no honestly that there's some sort of want or payback from a historical perspective that against Black Americans or the FBA ADOS group because of, please correct me if I'm wrong, but because of revolution, because of past.
You have to keep in mind, there's an old saying goes that familiarity breeds contempt. And I think that because we've lived alongside white supremacy and had to kind of, we were enslaved. And I think that what a lot of white Americans, they know the difference between someone who is a part of America's heritage Black population and someone who's an immigrant. I mean, listen, Dr. Gerald Horne at the University of Houston said this, and I mentioned this before. He kind of paraphrased it. He says that, listen, he says U.S. Negroes. He was talking about, of course, if you will, Blacks from America has suffered that persecution, and he says that there really isn't, there's no surprise that they're going to choose someone like an Obama. Obama does not have the history of Black America. He doesn't. And neither does Kamala Harris. She doesn't. And I'm telling you, I've had immigrants from the Caribbean and from Africa tell me far too many times that white Americans says, to be careful of those African Americans who are angry. Look, I got a PhD. I speak multiple languages. I've traveled extensively, and so on and so forth. But I'm telling you, there is a difference, and they know the difference. I'm telling you.
Larry Davis literally confirmed what I have said to you on many occasions. Like he's literally confirmed. He's just speaking on the other.
Oh, hold on, Brandon.
On the other end of the coin, like he's just flatly wrong. There is no familiarity. Familiarity doesn't breed contempt. It breeds comfort. It breeds comfort. There is an absolute comfort and understanding amongst white America and Black America. There is in no shape nor form is anyone white America going to take preference of definitely not an African and not an islander It's always Black America first. That's why, like, the rest of us know there's a history, and this goes back again to what the quote from 50 Cent: you never get involved between a slave and a master. You don't get involved. You don't know the dynamic. It's like he's saying that the African people have mentioned, or white people have mentioned to me what African people have said in regards to be careful, Black America, angry. Well, Africans already are experiencing that. There's nothing a white person is going to tell to another Black immigrant about a Black immigrant's experience with Black America, and that there are serious racism, which I've already brought up on many occasions on your channel, Dynast. But yes, he is correct. Everyone knows there's a difference. Like, even that Chantel girl, she even said so. Everyone knows and sees the difference between those who are African, the Islanders, and Black American. Even Afro-Latino, everyone knows the difference. But in terms of that Black America is being sidestepped or sideswiped, or that they're taking a seat back, that is unequivocally, patently not true.
Okay,
If there was a simple Black,
Can I talk? Can one Black person who's not going to be?
Hold on, Brandon. Hold on.
Does anyone get to speak up for Black Americans, or is this the thing where Black immigrants and some fake intellectual gets to just bash our people nonstop while we just take the punishment? Is that what we're doing? Trauma bonding and abuse?
Yeah, Brandon, that's what we're doing. Go, Kamala versus Trump. Go ahead, and then Professor Davis.
Where did that comment come from? Who bashed anybody?
Not good. We're not going to start today. We're not going to start.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Professor Davis.
No, I just think that I fundamentally. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna pass it to Brandon. Go ahead.
Right. I fundamentally disagree with Kamala versus Trump. You know, Dr. Joel Horn is one of the most renowned African-American professors in the country who's, my God, the guy has written about 50 books. And if anyone knows African-American culture and African culture, he does. And he said this, and I definitely believe him. I think that sometimes it's basically experience, and it's how Black Americans are anchored differently in U.S. history than immigrants. Immigrants are immigrants. Immigrants are immigrants first. You know, African Americans are a distinct population, as I said before. Now, that has not stopped us from actually thriving in this country. We have done exceptionally well. I've done exceptionally well in my family and all my siblings, but we understand that there is a difference. And the white power structure has issues with us, and we understand that. You know,
the white power structure does not have issues with Black America.
Guys, let me hold on, Professor Davis, and then I got to pass it to Brandon.
I would actually kind of compare it this way, Dinus. Like in America, the power structure, of course, is white. In Nigeria, the power structure is Fulani, and the Igbos and the Yorubas have an issue with the Fulani because the Fulani are the power structure.
Okay, let me pass it up. Okay, no, we're not going to respond. Let me pass it to Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon.
That comparison made no sense.
There's always.
No. We're not. Go ahead, Brandon.
Dude, it's always the Black people who then bootlick their way up into the upper echelon of white supremacy. The guy has no problem giving white colleges his money in the hundreds of thousands to get a doctorate. He got no problem walking in a room full of white people showing his teeth because they tell him how smart he is. And everything he's saying is just pure hypocrisy and lies. White people got so much of a problem with you that they pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars. They give you they give you an education. They respect your doctorate. If you say I'm a doctor in a room full of white people, all those white people are automatically going to think that you have some information that the average white person doesn't have. This is a cop-out. Black Americans sold out to white America decades ago. We're the ones who taught immigrants and continental Africans that the new revolution was to try to go and get an education in white institutions and then go jockey for positions within white corporations. Black people do not get ahead politically in America Not because white people have an issue with us, because black people are so damn divided up amongst each other. They play the fake racism game so much that they can't, in good faith, actually convince a white person that they actually accept that person as an equal or as a person who they want to have camaraderie with. White people don't support black people in politics because black people try to use gotcha tactics on white people. 1 minute, the white person's your best friend, but as soon as you got an opportunity to screw them over, you use racism or any other card you can play to try to discredit them. So it makes sense that a white person has a natural distrust for African American in the sense of anything. There's white people I know who be like, bro, I would love to hire more black people at my job, but every time you tell them something they don't like, they trying to sue you over racism and all this other stuff. Barack Obama and immigrants understand this. When you come to America, you have to play along with the American game. You don't get nowhere sitting up trying to label everybody racist. You got to incorporate yourself into the society. You don't get nowhere in America sitting up trying to talk about how somebody's racist. Notice this. Black entertainers who are African Americans who understand the same thing that black immigrants understand, they have no problem reaching the upper echelon of white society. Why? Because black entertainers, like black immigrants, put their money before everything. They put their money before emotionalism. They put their money before racism. They put their money before trying to go and help the hood and all this type of stuff. So guess what? They are able to have a broad reach across racial backgrounds and ethnicities. We cannot get those positions in the upper echelon of government. One, because most of our people who are that high don't want them. Maxine Waters is a powerful Democrat. She never ran for president. Jim Clyburn, he's a powerful Democrat. He's a freaking kingmaker in the Democratic Party. He never ran for president. Why? Because they're happy just being able to manipulate black people comfortably in their position. Once a black politician gets to a position where he could steal money and nobody's going to come for him, he stays right there. Look at all the black politicians, Sheila Jackson and all them. They just had a position where they can kind of get away with doing whatever and no one will hold them accountable. This, we can't do it because the white man don't like his dynasty, is absolute bull crap. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. White people will agree with you on that before anybody else. The best football player of all time. Some people it says Brady, right? But before Brady, people had like Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, all these black people. White people in America overwhelmingly, I feel, don't have an issue with black people. Black people just keep entertaining that tired narrative because the black people who are gatekeepers like Dr. Larry David, they have to keep you in that low level of thinking so that they can lord over you without any real validation, validity, or qualifications. What does it benefit this man to tell us that we can't reach the upper echelon because white people don't like us? He ain't going to tell his kids that. He's going to tell them they could do anything. Son, go for that degree, that doctorate. You could do this, that. That's just good enough for the plebes. That's just good enough for the freaking losers in black society that he likes to step on and say, I'm a doctor, I'm smarter than you. Bull crap, dude. You ain't no doctor to me because you're not even honest.
Oh dear.
Hey, Donnie. Hey,
Such a
Donnie.
rapid.
What, Mike? Professor Davis, you can respond to Pastor Chris.
Yeah, simply, I have no idea what he's talking about. That's it.
Go tell your son that he can't achieve stuff because he's black and the white man don't like him.
I have no
He'll
idea.
never do it.
Okay, let me pass it to Chrissy.
Dinus, you gonna tell your son that he can't achieve stuff because the white man don't like him?
Hey, Dinus, we're having two different conversations.
Yeah, Brad, I don't know where that came
That's
from.
not a different conversation.
Dinus, what kind of talk is this?
I don't, Brad. Let me pass it to Chrissy.
I've never heard such rubbish, man. It's so poor.
Professor Davis, let me pass it to Chrissy. Go ahead, Chrissy.
Forgive me.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
Well, I'm thinking about
rubbish.
Kamala versus Trump said.
Oh my God!
Part of what Kamala versus Trump said, and I disagree with. I wanted to address that, and also want to address part of what Pan African Strikes Back said before he went off in the tangent that I agree with. So we're Kamala versus Trump. I know you were saying that it seems from your perspective, white America has more of a camaraderie with Black Americans and Black immigrants. I actually would disagree with that. There is an old saying, and I've seen it played out in real life. What they said, better the N from abroad than the N at home. Have you heard that have you heard that phrase, Dynast?
Well, I never said that. Well, me
Well,
personally,
not you. Have you ever heard that historically?
oh, no, I never heard that historically, but I don't
We've heard better the devil you know. That's the
Okay.
one.
All right.
Yeah. Real quick, Christy. I'm sorry, Christy, to cut you off. One second, Professor Bego. I've never. I'm gonna pass it back to you, Chris. I'm sorry. I've never heard this. White people have, they I guess warm up more to immigrants. I've never like seen it, or where does this exist? Is this like a secret meeting when you guys come in? On Ellis Island? I mean, how does this work when you're actually immigration meeting? I don't know where this comes from, but go ahead, Chris.
It's pure bull crap.
Go ahead, Chris.
I have seen in my own life where I think someone was saying that white folk have said to Black immigrants not to deal with Black Americans or something like that. I don't know anything about that, but I have had little comments made to me like, oh, we noticed that, I think they were saying, oh yeah, like, Caribbean or African, like your families are more together than. It was kind of like a backhanded compliment, like trying to compliment Black immigrants and then kind of like degrade Black Americans. And I made
You mean they said the truth?
Let me finish now. It was actually at a job that I used to have. And then I said, well, the difference is that, we're on an island. We were by ourselves where Black Americans were not. They were living with the people who tortured them and continued to oppress them over time. I eventually lost that job. But, I've noticed little, I don't know if it's because, I don't know, maybe part of it is also because of the way we do respond to racism. Because the one thing Pan-African did say which is true, we put money over everything. Like, it's not that we don't see racism or experience it, but it's kind of like, man, to hell with you. I'm not really concerned about like the emotion, if you like me or not. You can go to hell. I'm here to make my money, but it's not that we don't see or experience racism. And I was actually laughing because I was thinking about an experience my cousin and we always joke about, where he was in the car with my mom. We were like teenagers, and some white folk were crossing the street. My mother was like, they were looking at my mom and waving. My mom was like, oh, waving too. And between her teeth, she was like, you can't trust these white people, just let you know, you can't trust these. And she's waving, and she's through her teeth, she's telling my cousin, do not trust these people. And she's waving to them like, hey, but don't trust them. You know what I'm saying? So, but I have not seen where they warm up more to Black Americans than to Black immigrants. I've actually seen a little bit of the opposite. It's subtle, but I've seen and experienced the opposite. But again, I would also say what Pan-African says, it could be a host of reasons.
Christy, where did you see this? Was this in a workplace, school? Like, where did you see this?
Man, white people look at all Black people the same. If y'all think that that's not true, y'all not even thinking.
And I'm not saying that on a large scale, but I'm just saying person to person. I'm not saying on a large scale.
When did that happen?
It happened in the workplace. My experience was the workplace.
Where you work, there was an African immigrant, and you, and the white person.
No. That's not what the narrative was. What the narrative was is that it came up that I am Caribbean, right? So in that conversation of kind of talking about like Jamaica and all that kind of stuff, it was brought up by a superior that they noticed that something to the effect of Black American families are not together. There's less of a unit, but it wasn't said in a way of like concern or just kind of like matter of fact. It was more kind of said kind of like, kind of looking down like, oh, like, versus you guys, I know that you notice that you guys, your families are more together. It was kind of said like in a more kind of like a kind of an uplifting way, because so it's something that I noticed. I'm just giving you one example of that. So that's
then why didn't they elect Shirley Chisholm? She was an immigrant. Why didn't they come out and the Jamaicans or Barbados or wherever the fuck she was from? Oh, they're way better. This doesn't make any sense. Black immigrants is working in regular jobs like everybody else. I've never heard a white person say, I prefer the immigrants over the regular Blacks.
Yes, I'm saying that I have noticed a subtle difference. And I think Dr. Larry Davis mentioned that as well, I've noticed a subtle person to person. I've noticed a subtle difference in kind of like one-on-one interactions. I've noticed that.
Yeah, when I was a little kid in school, they used to say, "Ooh, Brandon, you're so gifted and intelligent and all that stuff." That's what white people do. They gaslight a Negro to make him feel special in one instance, and then they just treat him like a Negro in overall.
Bro, is
Dinah,
it essential? Is it essential that you must shout? We can hear you, bro. You got a mic. Please speak
Dinah,
diligently, man.
what Chrissy is
Oh,
stating.
hold on. Let me back up. Let me back. Professor Davis, you want to respond or you got to say?
No,
Professor
listen.
Davis?
Look. Historically, Diana, there has been a difference, and again, it's the fact that I'm going to say it again. Familiarity breeds contempt. There's a contemptuous relationship, specifically for, if you will, America's heritage Black population. I'm telling you. I mean, it's just a fact. And listen, whoever comes to this country, I don't care where you come from, do well. I hope you prosper and all that stuff like that, because America is a land of immigrants. People come for a better life. I get it, but that's not the story of African Americans. I'm going to say this for a third time, Dinus. Black Americans are the most distinct population within the context of the American experience, because it is the only group of people in this country, in the United States, that have had to endure 450 years of terror, 250 years of enslavement, 100 years of Jim Crow, decades of bad public policy decisions, which were disruptive to healthy Black family development, redlining, mass incarceration, just to be recognized as citizens in the country that your ancestors built and are building today. We have history of being
This is
marginalized.
untrue.
And please don't interrupt me, Pan-African. And so now within that, there have been Black Americans, some of my own family, that have done quite well. I have family members who've been free in this country for centuries, and have been able to kind of maneuver and make money. And there's about 15 to 20% of African Americans who are in that class of people who are quite wealthy. But it wasn't easy. That they had to fight for it. But that's just the American experience.
This guy cannot stop falsifying. Wait a minute. So Native Americans were exterminated in America, and Black people are worse off than them, and they're not even around. They're like, they were millions, and they're like gone. But no one's faced what we face. This is a cop out. Black people can get wherever they want if they work hard. Period. Black people who are successful is because they wanted to be successful. There are 2 million Black millionaires in America. We're one of the richest populations on earth. The white man has contempt for you for what? Kicking your ass for 400 years? Somebody who been whooping your ass for 400 years don't got contempt for you. They beat you. They don't have to be angry at you. They can say, hey, let's be brothers now. Dinah, you ever fight somebody and afterwards y'all become friends? That's white people and Black people. They like, look, we didn't kick your ass, but we could be cool. We Rocky and Apollo Creed, basically, in America. We didn't fought, not even fought. They basically slaved us, and then they was like, all right, man, we gonna let y'all get some equality up here, and then they even facilitate helping us. You know what I'm saying? But all of a sudden, this contempt and all this stuff. How did this Black man get up on that nag if white people hate him so much or they contempt for him and stuff? It doesn't add up.
Brandon, it might not be your experience, what he's saying. You might not be familiar with it, but I don't think it's necessary.
This is no one's experience, Chrissy. This is no one's experience.
Let her finish.
You don't have.
Dinus, is this your experience?
Go ahead, Chrissy.
No, I'm just saying that I noticed that when you disagree, it's time to kind of tear down the other person's argument.
I'm not tearing down nobody.
Your experience
go
is
ahead, Chrissy.
Invalid, and that might not be your experience, but that is what he has observed.
It is a blatant lie.
Well, it's not a lie. Why is it?
Yes, it is.
Brandon, let her finish.
That's crazy.
Every person on this panel is a testament to that being.
Oh God, Brandon, chill out. Brandon, just chill out.
Dinah, what did Larry Davis say?
Hold on. Chrissy, can you repeat that? Because I couldn't.
What was that? Can I repeat it?
Yeah, we got it all over.
Okay, I'm just saying that I noticed a pattern that when Brandon does not agree, he because it might not be his experience, he might not be aware of it, he completely tears down the other person's argument as invalid. I mean, there are multiple things that can be true at the same time. That yes, he's a doctor, and yes, he's made it to the upper echelon of society, but that doesn't mean that he has not seen and experienced even a subtle difference in the way Black Americans have been interaction in his life versus Black immigrants. I shared with you, I've also seen very subtle. It's something even my friend and I, look, a friend of mine who's Nigerian, we were talking about, I think she wants to go for her master's, whatever. And she was saying that once they see her last name, she's not going to have an issue getting in. I mean, that's her opinion. She kind of like that, them seeing a Nigerian, if they see a Black person and the name is an African name, there's more of a comfort versus if it was a Black American. These are little conversations we have here and there.
That is unequivocally not true, Dinah.
That is your
opposite, Dinah.
Hold on, let her finish.
It doesn't mean that white people are in love with Black immigrants, but there are little subtle differences that I have noticed as well. And that's what Dr. Larry Davis was saying based on his experience. I also corroborated that because I've seen it as well. Now, Brandon has not, but that doesn't mean that because you haven't, that what he's saying is invalid or it's untrue.
And Dr. Ben Carson ran for president.
Where is this place where there is this preference for Nigerians or just overall African immigrants?
This is a lie.
Where is this preference? I came onto your channel detailing like the trauma and the terror I'm going through because of my background. It's 100%. And I've lived so much of my adulthood really in a false reality, not realizing that what they see is a Black immigrant. They're not seeing just an American or someone who's just a Black woman or a Black girl. They're seeing that Nigeria and they do not like it. It is seen as a threat. Nobody, Dynast, no company is going to use their resources to bring up an African immigrant. And I came to that conclusion. Of all these corporate companies that I work at, I consistently see Black American women being promoted. And these companies I've worked for, highly specialized, these are attorneys, these are women who are very qualified, Black American women who are definitely qualified. And they are being promoted, actively being promoted. And even when they do good work, it's still only the Black people who acknowledge their good work. First off, the vast majority of all Black people is Black America. Black American women, when you look at affirmative action, DEI, the #1 beneficiary, Black women and Black men, you look at DEI, it's Black women in HR. Who has the hiring decision? These recruiters are Black American women. It's not even Black men. Just name a Black guy you've seen who works HR. Generally, Black men, especially in technology, they are managers. And that doesn't even have anything to say about the preference white people have to Black people who are military. If you are Black veteran, the doors that open to you, the availability is unreal. What is available? You had someone on your panel a few days ago who he himself is a veteran. He mentioned that it was Obama's program that helped him stay in his home. And another one of the guys who was also a veteran, he's like, he was kind of going back and forth, but there's always preference towards veterans, especially Black veterans in this country. I've actively seen it. There is nobody is going to bring up, Black American women are not going to support and bring up a Nigerian woman or an African immigrant. And white people, they are familiar. Their comfort doesn't breed contempt, it breeds comfort. White people have no issue with Black people. They do not. We know who white people have when it comes to Black people. And you know who they are. That's white people's issue. They're violent. Black people out and about, no. We have heard this. Dave Chappelle even made a joke about this. Like, you can't just, like, he even made a joke about, I don't know, some Black guy was trying to scare a white guy, and the white guy just like, what's wrong with you? Like nobody is scared. You have white people gentrifying.
Kamala, proof that this is all a lie is one name, Michelle Obama. If Michelle Obama ran for president, she is a Black American. If that woman ran for president, she will win in a landslide. White people, Black people will all vote for her.
Now, you have white people who are begging Michelle Obama to run, begging.
Hey, Dinah,
And she's a black American. And Obama mama is white. We forget his mama white. That's why white people really fucked with him. His
Hey,
mom's
Dinah,
white.
Oh yeah,
And
go
not,
go 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 ahead,
and not
Professor.
only
Yeah,
that, the
but Dinah,
amount of money that the Obamas are able to raise in Hollywood, like these people, Michelle Obama is one of the most beloved and still liked people in the world. Her book like was a bestseller in Japan. In Japan, which is everyone on this panel knows how much of an ethno state Japan is. They really, really like Michelle Obama. There was even talks about Condoleezza Rice running for office. She refused to run. So there have been two very, very prominent Black women. The highest ranking Black woman before Kamala was Condoleezza Rice.
All right,
How did Black America think about her?
Let me pass the mic to go ahead, Professor Davis.
Yeah, I just want to briefly say, in terms of affirmative action, white women have been the greatest. They've actually received more affirmative action than any Black person, Hispanic person in the United States. Secondly, I think that
Everybody
the
already
issue
knows
is,
that, Dr. Davis. Everyone knows white women are the number one recipient of affirmative action. That's
may I
everyone.
finish? May I finish, please? Thank you. And secondly, Nigeria, unfortunately, when you talk about African immigrants, unfortunately, Nigerian immigrants have a stigma across the globe in terms of being involved of a lot of issues, a lot of problems. Not all Africans, but specifically Nigerians, more specifically, and I hate to say it, Yorubas and Igbos, not the Fulanis. And and unfortunately, they've been in jails around the world with the stuff that they've done, and that is unfortunate. And lastly,
What does that mean? Why are you mentioning that? How does that contribute?
Can I
Finish, but please
No,
let us
please
know why you made
allow
that statement.
me to finish. Please allow me to
Okay.
finish. Please allow me to
Okay.
finish. Because she was making the issue about African immigrants being stigmatized, whatever. It's more Nigerians.
I never said that about African Americans or Black Nigerians things.
It's a very out of tune comment, man.
Is it okay that I finish without being interrupted, please? My God.
Everybody's tired of your crap, Dr. Doom.
But unfortunately, that has been an issue in terms of Nigerians and especially being in trouble all over the globe, and that is true. Now, I will agree with her in terms of folks who have served in the military, which I did, have a preference when it comes to specific jobs. That is absolutely 100% true, no doubt about it. I mean, if you've served America and you're going for a job in someplace, people will look at that and they says, okay, wow, you've served the country, and we know that you know how to work with folks. So that Kamala versus Trump, I agree with you 100%. No doubt about it. I'm done.
Who winning, Michelle Obama or Trump, Dinus?
Let me pass it to T. Khalid. Go ahead, T. Khalid.
Well, I came in on halfway of the conversation, but what's interesting about Kamala Harris is something that we've never seen before. I don't know if y'all saw that Zoom call that said white women for Kamala Harris. Did y'all see that?
Now, T, if that were white men for Trump, boy.
Oh boy, man, nah, bro. They would have called that a Klan rally, man.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so yeah. I hope the conversation wasn't along the lines that white people are scared of black people, because now, man, these white folks want anyone but Trump, and I think black people. I think a lot of black people aren't really seeing that this is more of an ideological civil war over a race war. I think I feel like a lot of our people are still stuck in the intellectual rut. Like, these white folks aren't worried about you. The only I mean, you're just fodder in politics as far as your usefulness as an African American or even a black immigrant, whoever, a quote unquote color person. That's people of color. That's what they're calling us. You're just votes. After your votes are done, you're just useless. You are used to push LGBT, illegal immigration, foreign wars overseas. They count on your ignorance on all these topics by treating you like a purse puppy. And Kamala Harris is no different, bro. Like, when she talks about black people, like, or when you see her, why is she explaining the way she makes her collard greens. I mean, it's like, just think about that, man. But just think about that. Does Michelle Obama or even did Barack Obama have to say, man, I like my fried chicken with some hot sauce and watermelon on the side? He didn't do none of that. He just acted himself. But one has to ask the question, why does Kamala Harris have to do all these quote unquote black antics to try to resonate with black people? Because if you're African American, it comes naturally. You know, none of us on this panel has to talk about what we eat or what we do day to day culturally. Like, we can all kind of connect and understand that we're all black. But I feel like, you know, Kamala Harris has to do all these fake gestures, and once again, it comes to what my point is, that black people are just fodder for votes, man. And then just one last thing about the whole who hurt black people more. I would say Kamala Harris. Like, you can, you know, just look at her over her district, you know, especially towards black women, single black women especially. I don't understand why so many single black women, mothers at that, are voting for Kamala while ignoring what she did to black women while they had truant children. That makes zero sense. And you can't say Trump did anything worse to black people, because no one can pinpoint a specific policy that Trump did that effectively hurt specifically black people. Nobody can. And I don't want to hear this Central Park 5. That was an opinion piece that he wrote. That did not translate the policy. But yeah, the delusion is, you know, people are still going to emotionally vote for Kamala Harris. And, you know, this population of Americans are really destroying this country, bro. Anytime people vote on emotion and they don't understand the policy and they are the majority, these people are killing this country because they are drowning out the intellectual voices, calling us names. It doesn't matter what we say about foreign policy, domestic, what's going on socially. These idiots are killing our country. And yeah, that's what I want to say on the topic.
Can I follow, Dennis? Can I follow?
Okay, you got a minute, and I got to pass it to low value man.
I'll just like quickly to commend the last speaker. I really do thank you for making sense of a lot of the trash that I'm listening to. I'm listening to a lot of rubbish right now, and you have cleared things up for me. You see, we from the UK, we look at America a lot, especially Black America. And it's so obvious. It's so obvious that you guys can be played just because you fall into this race value system. The race value system is how you are being played. That's why Kamala Harris will come and tell you how she cooked her collard greens. Because she knows she can play the black community because they're so myopic and stupid and insular. They're not thinking about what is actually good for them and what brings them together. A black American can find an enemy in anybody. I find it really difficult growing up, understanding that Black Americans and Caribbean people were almost enemies in the first coming of America. Then I know in myself, I've got many family in America. I know what they went through, but I also know that they don't give a damn about rubbish. You guys come out with so much rubbish, and then you're going to tell us that we shouldn't speak because you don't know us, and start bleating because your heart is bleeding and you can't hold yourselves together. Especially a critique fucks you lot up to the point that, oh, everybody hates us. You guys, you are a group of emotional wreckages. You can't handle an argument. You can't speak specifically using language to push your argument. You have to bring all kind of diatribe into the whole atmosphere, spoiling the understanding. So, my brother who just spoke, I thank you for your clarity and not just being an idiot like some voices I've heard.
All right, let me pass the low value man, Dusty and Bro. Go ahead. Low value man, unmute yourself.
Look how Dinus treats me. It's black on black stuff.
Like the previous guy that spoke, that was all garbage.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like, I'm a tether. I guess you could call me an anchor baby or whatever. My parents migrated to the U.S. legally. They did it the hard way, which is applying for a visa. And I was born in the U.S., so anchor baby defending Black Americans. This whole like trashing on Black Americans for their political decisions, I think it's just dumb because it's like one thing I see like globally with Black people or African people is, I mean, there's nothing really to boast about. Like the same things that we point to, or some people point to, like about Black Americans politically, I see the same things in Africa, like the same dumb stuff. Like because my parents are Nigerian, like a lot of the nonsense I see where it's like, oh, we're gonna vote for this guy because he's from this tribe, and this guy's complete trash. Doesn't really do jack for the country, goes around, pays their bribes to get votes, and then basically steals like wealth for themselves. And then when it comes time to actually take action and hold that person accountable, or hold them to what they promised, it's like, oh no, but he's a Yoruba, so I'm still cool with them. Like, look at President Tinubu right now. That's why I'm just like, honestly, like the African consciousness, like we just need to get a mind and freaking think for ourselves, because this stuff is just like nonsense. We've seen how this stuff plays out. Like, what's it, Tom Sawyer? Like, history repeats itself, doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. It's like, I mean, some of the stuff like I've read, I'm just like, how do people not see this stuff? Like, where it's like, literally, it's the same shit repeating itself. And where is it where we're just gonna break our minds and actually think, instead of like, oh, Kamala's Black, oh, she's an AKA or whatever she is, I'm just gonna vote for her. Or this person's Yoruba or Fulani, I'm just gonna vote for them. Like, it's just all nonsense.
All right,
Is it
go
my
ahead.
turn?
Yeah, go ahead, Brandon. It's your turn.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know me and T.
That was
Khalik,
real crap.
me,
Sorry.
me, me and T. Khalik, we disagree on some stuff, but I think politically we're of the same mindset. Um, it's black people holding black people back, and it's black people holding black people back by giving black people excuses to make bad decisions. That's my biggest issue with Doctor whatever his name is. I don't have an issue with him personally, but the language he's spewing, I've heard it my whole life, in 40 years, and it's gotten us nowhere. And that's why I talk about people's kids, because people will tell their kids one thing but sell some other bullshit to everybody else. My daughter is a straight A student, 4.0, in a school with all white teachers, all white kids, Mexicans, Asians. She's at the top of the class. She's in the top 1%. Her teacher, she was getting a B in a class. A white man. He didn't have no contempt for her. He says, Samira, you know that this B is not good enough. I'm not happy with this, what you doing. He said, get your dad on the phone. She called me on her freaking cell phone so her teacher could talk to me and tell me how she turned in her work late and it has her at a B when she could be getting an A. These people are not working against you. They have no need to. Everything you do, you willfully hand it over to them. So why would they try to stand against you? When you you like a dog with a dog that catch a raccoon. Soon as you get it, you go take it and lay it at the feet of the white man. He wants you to do good, because when you do good, he benefits from it. White folks got all types of scholarships and everything like that. Dinus, I'm sure when you was in college, your coach on the football team was white. Was he white?
He was white.
Okay. When you scored a touchdown, did he say, man, screw this Negro? Or did he say, man, good job, Dinus? Because he benefits from that, right?
Right.
He benefit from it. He might hate black people, but he has no reason to have contempt for you, because every success you get, he takes credit for it. He markets it and monetizes it. You make a hit song, he gonna make more money off it than you. So you know what that means? He encourages you to make hits. All this white people got contempt for black people. I keep asking the same question. For what? Your woman want to lay up with a white man. They look at him like they've made it when they get a white dude. There's no reason for him to have contempt for you. You have contempt for yourself, and black people have contempt for each other. That's why we beat each other down. We get a degree and we walk around like we better than every other black person and no more. That's who's got contempt for you, other blacks. And when people like me point that out, we become the enemy.
And that is true, bro, because you have to understand this whole white people having contempt for black people. If that was the majority, immigration would be closed for the African continent. If like, why would they have a flow of non-black people rushing coming into the country? You have to understand the white gene is the recessive gene. When they breed with a non-white person, they are effectively destroying their own race. Pretty much. So I'm not seeing how that actually benefits their race when a bunch of non-white people are rushing into this country and there's nothing being done legislatively to stop it. In fact, it's encouraged. And I also do agree that yes, black people do want to lay up on the white folks because they always want to be the first black something and in what do white people do. So like, the first black person in the Supreme Court, just the first black, whatever white people create and their talent, black people want to be a part of. And when y'all look at TV shows like Game of Thrones, there were black people complaining about why there aren't any black people in Game of Thrones, like not understanding that this is based on Europe where there's barely any black people, but we always want to be where they are under their creativity. So now, I don't know if y'all watching House of the Dragon, but now they got black folks in it, and it's just so out of place, but they have to do it because black folks keep complaining. We always want to be a part of their stuff. But have you ever noticed there's never any white people who brag about being the first white person in a black whatever? They don't have to do that because they don't care. They got their own things going. It's us who wants to be around them. So yeah, I don't think there's any contempt. It's just us wanting to be around them.
Hey, Dinas, can I?
Go ahead, Professor Davis.
Yeah, and I'll just be very, very brief here. And Dinas, you and I talk from time to time, and I just want to say that there are many African American communities, and what this Mr. What's his name, Lee? I grew up in a different environment from what he is talking about, and so I just can't identify, and that's just what it is. And Dinas, you already know, as I mentioned to you before, many of my ancestors have been free in America for centuries, and so there's a segment of Black Americans that are quite wealthy, very wealthy, self-sufficient, not expecting anything from white people. We don't need white people. We actually have our own. And so that segment of African Americans is a decent sized number. And so what he's talking about, I just can't identify with.
Okay, let me pass it back to Kamala versus Trump. Then I'll pass it to Jagoon after that. Kamala versus Trump, you there?
I'm right here. I'm right here, John asked.
All right, go ahead.
It's as if some people are speaking about two very different things. Whatever Nigerian people do around the world, what does that have to do with Black America?
Is it a question for me? Is it a question for me? So
no,
look,
if I may respect, if I may, Larry, I'm not even Larry.
I need to say this. Unfortunately, Nigerians have a bad reputation around the world. Miss Kamala, unfortunately, some Nigerians have a bad reputation around the world.
Professor Davis, let Kamala versus Trump finish, and I'll pass it back to you. Then I'll pass it to Jagoon. Go ahead, Kamala versus Trump.
Whatever reputation, that has nothing to do with Black America. Black America, just focus on yourself. Whatever familiarity does not breed contempt, it has brought comfort. There is comfort that white America, and there is a relationship that no one else is going to understand with Black America. That is completely subset and away from what any other immigrant is going to experience nor understand. Furthermore, the immigrant, specifically the Black immigrant, is in the minority of all minorities. Black America is the majority everywhere you go when it comes to Blackness. in terms of work produced, if there's work produced, and then in terms, most importantly, the money. The access to money that goes to any Black person goes through another Black person first. Especially the lower your income, the more likely it's going to be a Black hand or someone nonprofit, etc., who's going to have access to distribution of whatever funds or money that you're going to receive. And like I said, especially low income. As Black people become more specialized in the United States, yes, you're going to meet more immigrants, especially if you're not completely or ignoring the healthcare field, where there is a large number of African immigrants. Outside of healthcare, the vast majority, they're few and far between, and they're specialized. And these African immigrants are not amongst other African immigrants. They are by themselves. You are hard pressed to find anyone else, especially if you are a Black immigrant woman, African. You are always the only person everywhere you go. So what he's referring to is just out of scope to the conversation. It's like he's speaking about other matters that have nothing to do with the conversation at hand. There are 1 in 10. You have your history in the United States. It has nothing to do with Black immigrants. And this is the same situation with ADOS and FBA. Black America can completely state 400 years of history and their plight and never once mention a Black immigrant because they have nothing to do with it. This whole Black immigrant is literally within the past 50 years, and the vast majority within the past 20 years. While Black America is 400, what does the Black immigrant have anything to do with your situation, your history? The Black African, they know their own experience, and it has nothing to do with white people. You're Black in the United States, regardless of where your ancestry comes from, there's going to be interaction, and we all have experience with our interaction with each other, and it's completely without any white people's involvement. A Black African will tell you directly their experience with another Black American every single time. Okay, I'll yield. Thank you, Dinah.
Go ahead, Professor Davis, and I'll pass it to Jagoon. Go ahead, Professor Davis.
And I'll just be brief. And we all know that Black Americans are the majority of Black people in the United States, roughly 90%, as she just said, up to 50 plus million and all that. But the statement about Nigeria, and this is not saying that all Nigerians are that way, but I mean, it is a fact that this particular population, unfortunately, is look, of the 4 million
you're going to say things that you have no understanding about.
Would you it's just what it is. I mean, if you want me to put this information into your inbox, I can. It's just what it is. It's not everybody, but there's a stigma. Not with Kenyan Americans, not with these other groups. It's with Nigerians. More specifically, it's with the Igbos and the Yorubas.
Because we're the only Nigerians.
An element of criminality. And that is unfortunate.
Can I come in now?
What does it have to do with you, Larry?
Wait, my dear. Leave it. Let me school him on his deep ignorance. My brother, you know I have a lot of respect for you. Having said that, your viewpoint on Nigeria is completely skewed. You don't understand that we Nigerians, as I've told you this before, but you're not really gleaning it. You think it's just 1 and 1 is 2 times 4 is, and it's some kind of arithmetic. No, we're talking about human beings. Let me tell you this. Nigerians from the south, the Igbos and the Yorubas, we don't give a fuck about stinking reputation based on the fact that we are just trying to move forward. You can say what you want to us. You can call me big lip bastard. You can call me African cunt. You can cuss as much as you want. But you see us, all that is just washing off our back. Because what we've got to go and do is something completely different than what you have in your mind for us. So we don't give a fuck how we're perceived in the world. However, there is more evidence of our prowess than our negativity. But if you want to push the negative side, please go ahead. Why? Because we don't give a fuck. You understand? We're not so soft. We're not so lily-livered. We're not so emotionally ignorant that we don't know how to think. What you're putting forward, my brother, it doesn't belong anywhere. And it really doesn't belong coming out of a Black person's mouth. But please do continue shouting out your diatribe. Thank you.
Go ahead, Professor Davis. Then I'm gonna pass it to a woman.
Nope. He said what he needed to say, and listen, look, free country, or this is an open forum. People can say anything they like to say. Hey, I'm fine with that. That's it.
Okay, go ahead, woman. Unmute yourself, woman. Woman, you gotta unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. I just think that it's so funny that Larry mentioned that there was some element or some air of criminality when people think of Nigerians. I haven't listened to the entire show, but I've listened to enough of him talking about how whites perceive Black Americans to know that he's a complete hypocrite. And hypocrites to me are to be dismissed thoroughly. There's no talking to a hypocrite. There's no reasoning with them. Okay. Now, if you as a Black person feel like you are treated differently because you're a Black American, how dare you? How dare you sit there and talk about Nigerians? And literally what you want to say is Nigerians are criminals. That's what you really want to say. But you're trying to be, I'm sorry?
I'm agreeing with you, my dear. Please continue.
But you're trying to be slick about it. You're trying to be slick about it. Like, oh, okay, when people think of Nigerians, don't dance around the point.
Well, you don't know me.
Let me finish. Let me finish what I'm saying. Allow me to finish what I'm saying, because you do not like people interrupt. Again, the hypocrisy.
Professor Davis, you gotta let her finish. People interrupt you.
I definitely want to respond to this.
Let me again. Allow me to again point out your hypocrisy. Okay, you became very upset and very disrespectful when you felt like other people were interrupting you as you spoke, but here you are doing the exact same thing to me. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. Donis, first of all, I don't know this woman at all. And honestly, she hasn't been there for the entire conversation. And for her to come up here and make these assumptions is absolutely idiotic. And calling someone a hypocrite, ma'am, I think that term actually is best suited for you.
No, you didn't listen to what she said. You just took offense as normal. If you listened to what she said, then you would understand that what she heard from you was something pointing in a direction of negativity where Nigerians were concerned, thinking that you said mostly Yorubas and Igbos. Do you know the amount of different tribes that are in the South? Do you know the amount of different tribes that are in the middle belt? Do you know the amount of different tribes that are in the North? Do you know what the Fulani constitute in terms of numbers? Do you know anything before you start opening them out, talking rubbish?
I do.
I'm afraid
I do know.
Everything that came out of your mouth.
I do know.
Nigeria, my brother, please, everything.
But I know.
Absolutely. Wait, everything that came out of your mouth depicting Nigeria, it was just all false, all of it. Nigerians in terms of 419, that's the terminology. That was back in the 70s and 80s. It creeped into the 90s. From then, we're out. Well, I mean, we're out. It's just like the crime families of the old New York, both the Jewish and the Italian. They came in criminals, hardcore. But after a couple of generations, that changed. But what happened is that by then they had climbed to the top. Now, we didn't have a couple of generations necessarily. We had about a term, if you like. We had about, of criminality and desperation, because that's who we were. We were desperate, but we were still educated. So we were using our mind to go wherever it is in the planet we want to go. Some people are in Russia and they didn't land there legally. They got in there to get out of Nigeria, because Nigeria was the worst hell that you could have faced, especially during the time of the late 80s coming into the 90s. It was drastic. You don't seem to understand that. You're talking about human beings. You're talking about human beings who have value for life. And whilst the value for life that they're receiving in Nigeria under the hegemony of the massive corrupt governments who are manipulated by the Westerners, because of this hegemony, they want to get out. So by the time they get out, armed with their education, they will enter into crime, no doubt. You understand? I'm not saying that they didn't enter. Yeah, why the fuck not? We're entering into crime. The whole world is a crime. The whole world is a crime scene. You want me to start pretending good behavior for you? Are you out of your mind? You see, people have to go where they're going.
And that's what happens on this planet. Once they get to a settlement where they can be a citizen, then they behave like citizens. If you're not depicting that, you have no idea what you're saying out of your mouth.
Now, Mr. Jagan, I understood exactly what you were saying. And guess what? What you just said with, I agree. Got it.
All right, Chrissy, you want to add to this?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Low value, dusty, and broke. You there?
Yeah. I would say like I'm just not concerned with it. Like what Dr. Larry Davis says, it doesn't bother me. I mean, although like I may disagree, it's just like it's pointless. It's like, I mean, when you weigh like this versus that, like the results are going to speak for themselves. I think like the reason why like Nigerians may have an issue with him is like I guess you could say like his degree bashing and all that type of stuff is kind of reminiscent of like some of the inner workings of like Nigerian communities in America, where it's like, I mean, a lot of them are boastful, tout their education, like their wealth, like I have this Mercedes, this and that. You'll see like Nigerians in Atlanta, Texas, different parts of Texas, and they have that like bravado about them, which that doesn't bother me. Like I don't know why it's a point like for people to feel that you have to be liked. I just don't care. But that's why I say, like, for example, like why Dynas probably gets a lot of respect, or it's just because like his temperament is just like, hey, like I'm trying to make money or do business. Like this is what it is. If we're cool, we could do something together. If not, that's it. Like, but if there's something you're wrong on, it's like, gonna call it out. But other than that, like I just don't really care. Like you could say tether, anchor babies, all that type of stuff. I'm just like, I mean, at the end of the day, what does that get a lot of people? Like it accomplishes nothing. You just name calling. I mean, the only thing that speaks of anything in this world is results. And
yes,
obviously we see like white people, I mean, for the most part, produce results. So, I mean, that's really what speaks for themselves at the end of the day.
If I can piggyback off of that, Dynas.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, I agree with all of that. What really speaks is the results. But I do think then when you have someone who is, let me just actually go back to what I originally wanted to say. Dr. Umar Johnson, regardless of what you think of him, said something that I have come to believe and see to be true in my everyday life, right? You see, Black people, regardless of their backgrounds, when a lot of them who are out here talking about white supremacy this, white supremacy that, the white power structure in America, yada, 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 they're not fighting for anything that will benefit Black people as a community. And I do believe that Black people should be viewing themselves and each other as a community, right? What these people are fighting for is proximity to whiteness. And let me speak for myself. As I can see with Larry, when these people achieve their proximity to whiteness, they turn around and they look down upon the rest of us Black folk. And I think it's important that these people are pointed out for what they're doing. When you talk about how the white power structure, yada, 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 and then you turn around and do the exact same thing to another group of Black people, I think you deserve to be called out on that. It's hard to look at that and then be like, oh, it's okay because only the results will tell. No, because you're doing the same thing that you're claiming that's been done to you, which is oppressing. Because if you're looking at another group of Black people in this light of they're criminals, and I don't know why you didn't just come right out and say it, because that's really what you wanted to say. If you're looking at them in that way and you claim that because white people look at you in that way that they're oppressing you, then you're oppressing them as well. Now, I don't buy into all of this woke nonsense about, oppression this and oppression that and who's oppressed. I believe that America is a place where you can definitely, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, as they say, work hard and achieve what you want to achieve. And I've seen it done in my own life, and I've seen it done with lots of friends that I have. I've seen a lot of people who come to this country as immigrants, Africans included, Caribbeans included, and really make a good, decent life for themselves in America. When Black Americans complain about the success those people have had, and then they turn around and bash them in the same way that they claim that they can't be successful because they're being bashed by white folks, it needs to be called out.
Yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you,
Dennis, let me
woman, for making
respond to
that
this.
comment. Dinah, if I may respond, woman, thank you very much. For
Well, I'll let Kamala versus Trump. I'll pass it back to you, Professor Davis. Then we're going to close that. Well, then I've got to pass it to Justin. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Kamala.
Just to share, just when you, thank you, woman, for your commentary. I just want to say that for African women, especially African immigrant women, especially Nigerian women, when you're entering these spaces like education, the Larry Davis person, healthcare, hospitals, even where you live, where you reside, where you work, this type of sentiment, the Larry Davis sentiment, is so full and complete. And this really is the mentality and the view they have of you. It doesn't, like, it's in Dynas. I explained my situation, what I've gone through in my younger years. And this is, and even with Larry Davis, someone, Dr. Larry Davis. So you would assume in either academia and education, but that type of, which is racism, point blank, that type of sentiment is so proliferated, and it's so dangerous. And it really does create it's more than just hostile environment. It creates this level of anxiety, because what's going to happen is that people come together and start talking about you, the Nigerian girl, you, the Nigerian woman. You're always going to be that target. Black American, you have this Larry Davis sentiment. They will 100% go to a white person, and you will be that target, no matter how, even the best work you do. You can bring in quality work. You can bring an employee of value, because you are that Nigerian, which they're going to know how you speak, your last name, how you carry yourself. You will be a target. You will be, to the point, these people who are not owners, they are all employees. They will be a participant to literally bring liability lawsuits to a company. These are people who work there, or they're people in academia and these hospitals. You're all workers in some respect. When they see a Nigerian, especially a woman, because you're such an easy target, they are going to come after you. And I've seen this personally myself in academia, how these people, the level of racism, and it's always Black America, white America. So hearing Larry Davis, hearing this type of talk, it just resonates, because I've seen this throughout my years. It's not something that you're just making up or pretending. If you are a Black African immigrant woman, you really are in a position of peril. And these are strong words, but you have to be careful, because there is such a level of hatred, racism. This type of sentiment is real. And these people will sit, scheme, and scam. They will use work hours just to target and abuse you. And this is just happening right here, Dynas, with Larry Davis. This commentary is not okay.
Hey, Dynas, you know what? After I say this will probably be the last time that I be a part of your show. But I just want to say this to you, Dynas. As you are well aware, that I'm with an organization that actually drafted the U.S. strategy toward Africa. I worked with Nigerian Americans, Ghanaian Americans, Ethiopian Americans, Fulani Americans, so on and so forth, where we met with the State Department, the National Security Council, Commerce, and so on and so forth, to actually draft an agenda or drafted a strategy that was actually adopted by the Biden-Harris White House. As a matter of fact, we just got back from Nigeria. We were in Abuja about a week ago to discuss this. And so I'm used to kind of, Dynas, engaging a different level of people, not with the back and forth here that we're having. But what we've done is written policy that has been adopted by the U.S. government and also by various governments in Africa. And so for anyone to think that I'm anti-whatever, again, they just don't know me. And Dynas, you've actually seen the policy that we actually drafted that was adopted by the Biden-Harris White House. And we're making tremendous progress. So at this point, Dynas, I'm going to hang up because I'm not used to this type of engagement. I'm used
man, bro, before you do that.
Excuse me, let me finish. I'm used
Can't,
to
no, bro. I just want to talk to you, if I may.
Nope, I'm not done, sir. Please, I'm not done. That is, I'm used to engaging with a different type or caliber of people, and this is just. I'm honestly not used to this type of stuff at all. The ambassadors that I've been.
Wait, please.
Caliber of people
No.
here. You see, this is exactly
Dinus,
what I mean. It's
please
exactly
let
what I
him
mean
finish.
about people like him.
Wait, no, don't do this.
Thank you so
Please
much.
let him finish so I can follow him. And I want you to listen to what I've got to say, sir. Please.
Nope, I'm done. You guys have a
Okay.
good evening.
No, before you run away. You see, Dinus, you see that kind of person? I tell you what that kind of person is. And it's very unfortunate because I like the guy. He may not understand that I like him, but I do. The fact of the matter is, whilst you are in all these highfalutin places, we are all professionals on here. That guy, wherever he's gone to in Abuja or wherever, I've been there and done that. You understand? I do it in London. He does it in the States. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, unless you are able to articulate to the masses, then you're not doing much because you're not getting much. How can you be writing policies for people and you don't even like who they are, or you don't understand the challenge of what's on the ground? Is that a sensible person? He's there talking about he's written for the government, and we are much more better in our negotiation processes than all this rubbish that you have on your platform, guys. I don't think I'll come back. That in England we call that kind of individual a wholesome wanker, which is somebody who is ejaculating without production. You understand? When you ejaculate, it's supposed to turn into a baby and then turn into a human being of dignity. But when you're wanking, all you're doing is putting that spunk into a tissue paper, which is a waste of life. I have to put it like that. I can't put it in any other way.
Okay. Go ahead, woman.
You see, this person has just exposed themselves for exactly what I knew that he was, right? He's claiming that people don't know him. What does he mean by caliber? I'm used to talking to a different caliber of people.
So rude.
How disgusting is that? You see, this is what I mean. When Black people find themselves in close proximity, when they've achieved their goal of acquiring proximity to whiteness, they then look down on the rest of us. It's plain and simple. And a person like that, I've only been listening to this. I follow Dinus because I know that you do a lot of trips to Africa back and forth, and my goal is to repatriate. So I do follow a lot of that kind of content. But I've never called into the show. I'm sorry, I've never listened to the live shows that much. And over the last couple of days, I've really been enjoying them. But listening today, this person, immediately I could identify him for what he was. He's absolutely a hypocrite, and he's a disgusting person. How dare you look down on the rest of us? You have no idea who anyone else in here is, what degrees they have, how they live, nothing. But you just assume that because you've told us that you're this doctor, that this somehow means that you're above the rest of us. And because you have a proximity to whiteness, I've worked with the Biden-Harris administration. Guess what? I'm no fan of that administration. And I know some of the work that they've done. And if I were you, I wouldn't be flaunting that around as if that's some kind of achievement.
Absolutely.
Chrissy, you want to add? Chrissy, you there? Okay, Kamala versus Trump, you there?
You see,
Sorry,
here?
I'm just
so you
listening
still
now.
like
I'll
how when
come
you were
off and
standing
listen.
up, you struggled up.
Chrissy, you got it. Hold on, somebody. Oh, we lost her. Okay, Kamala versus Trump. Go ahead.
No, I'm here. Thank you for the live, Dynast.
Okay.
Thank you for the live. He's your friend, but that's the type of sentiment that I'm talking about, and it's scary, Dynast.
It's not scary. It's just snobbish. It's just so many Black people are snobs. They're snobs up their own arse.
Not so much that he's a snob, Jagun. The situation
Snob,
is
but
that
it's okay. I can deal with a snob. You understand? I can deal with a snob.
Remember, these are people like for myself, I would work. You work, these are the Black people who are in management. So you have someone with that type of sentiment about Nigerians, and specifically he's saying Igbo and Yoruba, who are the vast majority in the United States. Like I have yet to have met like a full Fulani person just out and about. The few times you meet Nigerian people in the United States, it's going to be Igbo and Yoruba. And yes, woman, she made a point. Yes, it is when she said boastful, that's Igbo people. Igbo people are quite boastful, and we'll talk about money and education.
No, I never said boastful. I've never said that. Let me just say that. I don't categorize people like that.
No, I'm not saying it in any way in a bad way.
No, but that was him who said that. I never said that.
Okay, or just whoever said it, it's just referencing pride, which is true, which is very true amongst Igbo people. But at the end of the day, you're talking about the smallest group. And at the end, all Igbo Yoruba people still have to go to work, still have to obtain services. And when you deal with these types of people, like the Larry Davis person, creates such hell, such animosity. Like you're walking in and there's Black people, the vast majority are Black Americans, and you have to be mindful of people who just have that negative sentiment. Because once people find out, especially as a woman, there's a very good chance bad things are going to occur to you. And it's just hearing that on your live, especially with someone who I'm assuming comes from academia, it's just like confirming like some of my deepest concerns and fears. Because it is scary, because you go to work or you go to school and you have someone who thinks like this, and that person's going to start speaking about you to other people. And those people are going to be white people and other Black Americans. So you're in an environment where you have people who have such negative sentiment against you and will either be abusive, because it's that slippery slope always comes. They have the largest number, and you're one Nigerian, especially a woman, you're by yourself with 4 or 5 people who think like this, or even 2.
Can I say Kamala?
Black
Sorry,
America has a voice in HR, and Black America is in management. Black America, within the past 10, 15 years, you're seeing more and more Black Americans in recruiting positions in human resources and in management. You're not seeing African immigrants being uplifted in this type of way. We're not in any way, shape, or form. So
can I just follow what you're saying? And I'll do it without profanities, as my brother, Frenchy Cho, doesn't like profanity. So I'll try my best to take out any bad language. But I would say this to Dynast, particularly, as this is your platform. We are random Black people scattered around the world in this conversation. And you can tell that with all the different views that we may carry, we have such a long way to go in terms of streamlining our mind power. We are working, unfortunately, in different ways that does not conjoin for our own progress purposes. And for me, maybe people may see me as odd or loud or I don't know, whatever. For me, my one is about how is it that we are going to now begin to communicate towards a specific direction that takes us out of the hell that we are in. We seem to be plummeting ourselves further into the mire. And I sometimes, it astounds me that we do not have the decorum, the understanding, the love in order to see ourselves as one. We are always looking to segregate ourselves from each other. And with this motion, I cannot see how we're going to get to the promised land. I can't see it. And that's very sad for me. Listening to what's been said, generally, not just on this platform, but other platforms, where people are so egotistical, so in their own mind, that to actually perform unity, that's what they're speaking about. We're so far from that. We're so far from the unity that we need. And for me, Dynast, I would wonder what your perception is of these discussions that we have regularly, where we're just tearing each other apart. What crosses your mind, please?
No, the platform is here for the reason why the platform is here is for people to have engage in conversations. Now, as far as like building offline, I mean that's fine, but I mean, it's for the diaspora to come together, have conversations. I mean, like I said, we're not going to agree on everything. I'm for diversity in thought. You just have to be respectful.
Fair enough, sir.
All right, Black man, go ahead, Black man. Let me unmute you. Go ahead, Black man. Go ahead.
Respect. It's all about respect. It's all about respecting each other.
I could barely hear. We could barely hear you.
All right. I'm black, you black, we all black. I've been in the army 21 years. I've seen Africans, I've seen South Asians, I've seen South American blacks, I've seen them all, and they're all in the same spot at the bottom. So you gotta learn how to love each other.
We appreciate that. Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. Nah, Jedi.
Hello?
Diversity in thoughts, not thoughts. Thought, Jedi. Jedi Drew. Thoughts. Oh, goodness. Thoughts, not, oh God. You know what I mean. All right, till next time, family. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Peace.